co-host Moose. This is my co-host here, the Sleaze.
Hi.
Kalo and Ren. We have our same guest as the last two episodes, Tony here.
Tony the Tiger.
Tony the Tiger, yeah.
Yeah.
There is actually no word in Portuguese for Millennium Falcon.
Well, I'm sure there's a word for Millennium and Falcon, but I'm positive my parents didn't.
So today, we're going to be going over the next two Rebels episodes. And we're all going to actually start a new segment called What If. So we'll go over that. And if you want to give us any suggestions for What If or any show suggestions, please email us at our email address.
Which is right there.
Right there, if you can point to it.
I'm just trying to touch Tony's cock.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right, little lower.
So let's get right into the Rebels.
Let's do it.
Basically, the episode opens up with Vera and Wedge coming down, and they almost crash with Y-Wings from some supply mission.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, they crash, but they survive, obviously. And that essentially reunites the Ghost crew. So everyone's there, Sabine, Zeb, and you actually see Agent Callus and Rex as well.
Yes. It's a very exciting scene.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
So they're all happy, they're all
So
together again.
that's how long has it been since they've all been together like that?
I'm not sure the whole time frame, but it seems like they've been separated. I know Sabine's been with her clan and the Mandalorians for a while, and they sort of, I don't think they've all been together. And I mean, I haven't seen Zeb in a couple episodes at least.
Yeah.
Like he definitely wasn't in the first two of this season.
No. Rex was there on that little base too, right?
Right. Yep. He was on. They're all on Yavin, so that's official. They all been there and know of Yavin and all that sort of stuff. So that's.
I just want to go on record that I love that Wedge is like a rookie in this cartoon.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, when they first introduced him, was it last season or the season before? I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. They introduced him, so you see his like growth as a fighter and all that stuff.
Yeah. He's a cool character. I've always fucking wanted more, storylines for him. So.
Who's the other one? The other one's the other pilot is
Porkin?
No. The other pilot that hangs out with Wedge, the other newbie is from the books too. Or I
don't remember his name.
Doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Anyway. So basically, they get shot down or whatever, attacked during the supply run.
Hobby. Sorry.
Hobby.
This is a hobby. You are correct, sir. Because there's a relay dish in the Jalinda system.
Yeah.
And that fucking Jalinda system.
Jalinda.
Yeah.
Sounds like a freaking crack whore.
I know a guy that got herpes from her.
You
in the 90s.
No.
Basically, Saw Gerrera gives them some info about this, that there's a relay dish there. Mm-hmm. And Senator Organa later on confirms it. So the Ghost crew essentially talks to Mon Mothma, and they decide to put like a data spike on it to intercept communications and essentially be able to move around the Empire.
Which is a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. Ezra didn't approve it, like he didn't want to do that. He wanted to essentially hit them back, and so did Vera in the long run, even though she was following command. Like she wanted to blow it up as well, basically.
Yep.
The next scene is Saw Gerrera actually infiltrates the base
yeah.
in a way, like he puts like a hologram sort of thing on the droid, and he talks to the base and basically says, join me to actually do some damage against the Empire.
Yeah.
Instead of staying with the rebels, and pretty much calls out the leader of the rebels.
That conversation, like that was like one of those.
Yeah.
Because Saw makes excellent points. You may not agree with his methods, but he is right about what he said.
Right.
Which leaves them in a very gray area, or at least Saul so much in the gray area. Yeah, I love those kinds of conversations. Like, it's not all black and white. There's a good guy, there's a bad guy. Sometimes there's some gray. There's like stuff in the middle. Sometimes people do stuff that they shouldn't to get done what they want to get done.
And those characters always seem to be more entertaining. You know what I mean? They're not good or bad, so there's a lot of dynamic. You know, there's a storyline for their good stuff and their bad stuff. So
Yeah.
it's almost like a Qui-Gon thing. You know, it's not saying that he was bad or anything, but he was very in the middle.
So to do what's needed.
Right. Whatever needs to get done is pretty much what he was fucking thinking.
And you see in Rogue One that this is the first time that I can recall that the rebellion isn't this great, good group.
Yeah.
That they do some shitty shit in Rogue
Yeah,
One.
like terrorists.
Right.
They really are.
And they're gonna snipe Jin's father,
Mm-hmm.
and he pretty much disobeys a direct command to kill him.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely not all friggin' unicorns and friggin' lollipops, whatever you want to fucking say, with the rebellion. Like the old movies, like sort of showed, and so far in Rebels, it sort of seems like they're trying to do the right thing and be on their high horse, so to speak.
I think that element of Rogue One was the most realistic of all the, space movies with the laser swords. That was the most realistic.
Yeah.
But I like how they portrayed again how the rebellion wasn't all perfect and everything.
Right.
It was more realistic.
It wouldn't be.
Well, see, the only thing I can really attribute to it in real life is basically, like fucking ISIS. I mean, they have their own way of thinking of shit, and they want to overthrow a bigger power, so they do terrorist attacks. Basically.
Their ideology and the
like guerrilla warfare sort of thing.
Yeah.
I definitely don't agree with ISIS on any.
No,
but they
I'm
are a terrorist organization.
Yeah, and they do these types of things that they are capable of doing because they're fighting a bigger foe. You know what I mean? So it's.
Yeah.
I would argue that Saw Gerrera
is more of an ISIS.
is closer to ISIS than the
Yeah.
Rebels are.
Right,
The Rebels do some shady shit, granted. But yeah, and I don't even think Saw Gerrera is as bad as ISIS.
No. No, they're just fucking insane.
I like Saw from a certain perspective, but at the
It
same time...
wasn't a bad movie. The first one was okay, and then after that it got shitty.
What do you mean?
The movie Saw.
Oh, I'm oblivious. Every time...
You gotta watch out when he throws his fucking pole in the water, because he's fishing for
Someone
that
got a
shit.
bite. Anyway, back to the Rebels.
Yeah.
So Ezra, Sabine, and Chopper actually skydive from the Ghost onto the relay dish, which is pretty fucking cool.
Right.
I don't think I ever saw that, like skydiving sort of thing in like Star Wars.
No.
Seems like something new.
No.
And they get on there, banged up a little bit, but they essentially get on there undetected.
They had jetpacks though, right?
They had jetpacks,
Yeah.
but they had to like essentially go really fast and put them on the last second. And they sort of slammed on and
Yeah, I
It's
know
like a
what you mean
dampener.
now.
right.
Yeah.
And
Just to
Chopper
kind of-
actually landed to hit the middle part of the dish and like started smoking and
Scraped
stuff.
across.
Yeah,
Right.
sounds interesting. There's actually a light cruiser that comes that's asking for. Essentially, I'm not sure exactly what they're asking for, but they're trying to communicate with the relay dish, and basically Chopper somehow messes with the wires or something, and the communication's coming out of him or at least where he's plugged into.
Yeah, this part was fun.
So Ezra pretends he's some I'm not sure if it's a general or whatever, or commander, and that commander is actually the commander of the friggin' light fighter, or light freighter rather.
Yep.
So it's just a funny sort of comedic scene.
Yeah.
The dude he said he was actually commanding that freighter.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, is this a joke?
How was I supposed to know? Well, maybe you just shouldn't have fucking said anything.
Yeah,
which was
dumbass.
the original plan.
Right.
You had to
That's it. I got a love-hate relationship with Ezra, because it's like some shit he does fucking annoys the shit out of me, and I understand because he's pretty much a kid and stuff like that. And then there's other stuff that's like, oh, that's cool, but he's like, oh, he's fucking annoying sometimes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he still has some growing up to do for sure.
Yeah, big time.
And he sort of thinks he can do a lot more than he can right now.
Right. Super
So does
fucking
every kid,
Jedi.
though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's just he's a lieutenant commander, I think Mon Mothma called him. So I mean, he's not like he's some friggin' soldier in the Rebel. He's pretty high as far as rank. So you think it'd be more responsible or something.
I like how they get a sniff of like Jedi, and they're automatically like, "Yep, you're fucking in charge of like all these veteran friggin' fighters." Like even though you're 15, like you could be in charge of like 40 or 50 dudes. Like it makes no sense.
Well, I think it might have been more his rank and what he's done in Phoenix Squadron, because they I think Canon says that he essentially says Phoenix Squadron is put into like Yavin's squad, so maybe it's just like a grandfathered in sort of rank. But they did it. They did it with Luke too. You know what I mean? He was fucking like 20 years old, and like all of a sudden he's a general of a fucking vast amount of fucking army personnel. Well, if you shoot a hole in a
he did blow up a Death Star. I was just gonna.
But you go from being not in the military, you destroy the Death Star, and all of a sudden you're general. Like it makes no sense.
Honestly, I kind of have to agree with you, because in the real world it wouldn't be like
no
that.
fucking way.
I mean,
they give you a lot of medals
during the war. You do get battlefield commendations,
right?
But I mean, Joe Schmuckatelli, nobody. Luke Skywalker to general in two movies.
in essentially 3 years. It's when he went from nobody to fucking general. It's ridiculous.
Well, his sister was pretty high up, so he probably had some pull.
Oh yeah.
Even though he didn't know it then, but
they made out too, so I'm sure.
That's hot. Anyway.
You know what you just reminded me of? The scene in at the end of Return of the Jedi, when he's like, oh, it's about Luke. Leia says that, it's about Luke, and Han's like, all right, fine. When he gets back, I won't get in the way. And she's like, no, he's my brother. And he goes, oh. Because right there, he's like,
it's still a little fucked up.
You fucking kissed him. You guys kissed.
I mean, I'm cool because you're not fucking this dude, but you guys still kissed. Yeah.
He was all cool. He's like, yeah. My sister made out with me. I was like, what the hell? He's like, take it easy.
There's an incest theme going on with this episode. Weird.
Right. Good thing no one recorded the other one.
It was gay incest. Yeah. Well, we'll just stop there.
So anyway,
not related to anybody here, so
that's what you two are doing
can't
together.
Be involved in any of this incest.
So eventually the relay dish starts moving, and Sabine and Ezra fall down it, slide down it, and essentially are seen. So the freighter, the cruiser, I think it's a light cruiser actually, sends out two TIE defenders to attack them, and at the same time they call the Ghost to come back and pick them up. So the TIE defenders chase the Ghost away essentially, and Hera's going in and out of the mountains and the clouds and stuff like that. And one part was pretty fucking awesome. Kanan had Hera go down to the clouds and essentially use the Force to navigate.
Yeah.
And because of that, they shot both of the TIE defenders down, essentially.
One of them just crashed because they couldn't see either. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So talking about him a little bit, seems like he's getting, obviously all he has is the Force right now because he can't see. But it seems like he went from this Ahsoka Darth Maul battle, that whole episode, blind, holding on to, I think, Chopper, or R2-D2, was it Chopper?
Probably Chopper.
Chopper, I think, yeah. Like, not even being able to walk by himself to this now. It's, like, pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Like, the power he's become.
Oh, it reminds me of the scene in A New Hope when, Obi-Wan was training Luke and he had the blaster mask on and all that stuff. So it's, it makes sense.
He's definitely coming into his own as the blind Jedi.
Yeah.
I really like this. It reminds me of something, of some old show, and I can't quite place it. It's like right on the tip of my tongue. But there's just something about this that echoes with me from like when I was a kid, some story about a blind master. And I can't place it. Oh, I don't think that's it.
But it sort of fits.
But you're exactly right.
Imagine if Disney owned Marvel and Star Wars. That'd be crazy.
That's fucked up.
That'd be insane.
Wow.
So essentially that happens. And then all of a sudden Saw Gerrera shows up in his U-Wing, which is cool because it's one of the ships from Rogue One.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah, that you see.
That's the dude, the guy that Saw showed up with. That's the guy I was talking about last episode.
Yeah, I found out his name. His name is Idrio Two Tubes.
Two Tubes.
Tubes.
I'll just call him Tubes.
Tubes.
Yeah, which is pretty funny when I saw that. I'm
Stupid
like,
name.
what the hell?
2 tubes.
Because I kept saying, the guy with the tubes.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'll just call him Tubes.
So that's pretty funny.
2 tubes.
So essentially, he starts throwing like proton torpedoes or something down into the relay dish to blow it up, whatever they are.
Yeah. They're all like, hey, what are you doing here? Nothing.
There's nothing. Kicks him off the side.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave this here.
Yeah.
So Sabine and Ezra get into the U-Wing with him, and there's a Star Destroyer that sort of intercepts the U-Wing from docking with the Ghost and getting Ezra and Sabine to the Ghost again. And then TIE fighters come and stuff. So essentially the U-Wing has to, and Saw Gerrera and 2 Tubes has to take off, and Sabine and Ezra are fine with it.
Yeah.
What was interesting in that scene was Ezra, or Saw, asked Ezra if he's cool with it. Didn't say anything to Sabine, just like, Ezra, you cool? Yeah. And then...
Well, he knew the response he was going to get from Ezra.
Yeah.
He was a little more pliable than Sabine is.
But he figured he would ask because it's... both people are there.
He probably didn't ask her on purpose because he knew what he was going to get from her.
I mean, you saw her like nod a little bit, and she was cool with it.
Oh,
But
right.
it was just like a little interesting tidbit or whatever.
Tidbit.
Tidbit.
2 tubes.
She did not. Okay, I didn't see that part. I missed that.
So he essentially light speeds towards the Feo station, I believe it's called, to check on some cargo that Saw thinks is Imperial and is pretty much undercover, like under civilian sort of thing.
Little does he know
Yes.
the magnitude what is in that facility or in that ship that's being.
So this is pretty much all. He's pretty much on track of the Death Star. Like he doesn't know exactly what it is, but that's what he's essentially getting closer and closer to figuring out. So they stow themselves away, like into a cargo container, get on this cargo ship that is going to, the Tonus sector to rendezvous with this Star Destroyer you see later on in the episode. So they get on the cargo ship. The first hangar essentially doesn't have anything really, aside from some Imperial metal and stuff like that. Nothing like too weird or alarming, so to speak.
Right.
In the next little hangar place, they find some prisoners that were actually kidnapped by the Empire, and they were kidnapped to work on a secret project, aka the Death Star, probably.
Yes.
This is what makes Saw
A
like a bad person.
Oh.
Because when they get to the prisoners there, he's completely indifferent.
Right.
You know, even Ezra's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna save them, right?" He's like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah,
I guess.
fuck them.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's like, this is not what I'm here for. I don't give a shit about
Exactly.
people. Like
Right.
that's the difference between him and the rebels. Again, it's just we can talk about it as tactics and stuff like that after. But
He's just more. He's
on a
just
different
more.
level.
Yeah, he's more cutthroat about it. You know, there's less of a moral thing and all this shit.
I
He's got a
think
directive, and he'll fucking get there.
I mean, I could argue like that he is more morality or whatever, because like he sees these 10 or whatever amount of prisoners there are. He thinks the Empire is making a super weapon, so he needs to that's his focus at all costs essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with leaving prisoners or something there, and Ezra always wants to save them because that's what he sees right then and there.
Right, but that's the difference. Is Ezra will see that as an opportunity to help those
Right,
people
to help
too.
a few people.
Where Saw's like, nope, I got the big picture in mind.
Right.
You know what I
He's
mean?
very narrow-minded,
Yeah.
and I think the fact that he's had so much taken away from him, his sister, his planet.
His planet. Yeah.
Right.
That's why. I mean, he's the way he is. I'm not condoning it, but I understand. I'm
No,
not
you
saying
got-
it's okay. I'm just saying I understand why he's that way.
Yeah.
Well, this is getting back to the sort of not Kylo Ren level, but you know, in I think Clone Wars when he was originally trained and stuff, he was okay. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't this crazy and off hinge, so to speak. You know, in that fight, in the battle, his sister died, and essentially his whole planet got taken over. So it's how you react to what happens in your life.
Correct.
And he's just become this extremist, essentially, to do whatever it is to stop the Empire and get revenge, essentially.
Yeah.
So
that old saying, the measure of a man isn't what he's been through, but how he deals with
with it,
what he's been through.
Right.
Right. Something like that.
So
Sounds good to me.
So he's not. Yeah, I might be paraphrasing.
I think you're a scholar,
bit.
so.
You're a smart fucking guy, so I believe you.
I'm paraphrasing it a little bit, but that's the gist.
I think that's
of it.
exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Comment below. So all those prisoners were all reactor or power technicians. Like, pretty obvious.
Right.
They overhear, like one of the troopers talking about the Jedi city, which is Jeddah city, which is Jeddah. Essentially the city.
Why can I not pronounce anything on
Like
this
the
fucking
car.
show?
And you were correcting
Jeddah.
me, which was good.
I corrected you incorrectly.
You said it wrong. He said
Fuck.
it a different way wrong, and you were like, okay.
We're
Sounds
just gonna
good.
go right to Tony because
Yeah,
Jeddah.
he's
like
way
the scholar over here. He's he'll figure it
It's
out.
just like the car.
Which is the city in Rogue One that gets, the planet in Rogue One, the city that you see, the freaking knocked over the Jedi statue and all stuff, essentially gets blown up. And, it's the first, or the last, or the first, whatever, Death Star attempt to use the weapon.
Well, that was the first time, right?
Right.
The very first time they used it.
At that scale, at least, I'm not sure if they had any other.
Right, they probably
small
blown up ships in space and
Yeah.
shit, but
But what's interesting about that planet is it's jacked full with kyber crystals and stuff like that. And that's where the Jedis used to go to get a lot of their crystals for the lightsaber and stuff like that.
Kyber crystal.
Kyber. Like Klyber almost.
Klyber crystals.
I think George Lucas played
Yeah,
that.
you saw me. He's like, man, before you're born, I'm going to name something after you.
What?
Alright, so one thing that we finally see is some Death Troopers.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
In
That
the
was
next
cool.
hangar. They didn't do too much, but it was still cool to see them, and I'm guessing they might be back at some point.
I'm hoping.
In the Rebels.
It didn't hit me at first. I'm like, oh, that's a cool outfit, and I'm like, oh, I know these guys.
Yeah.
It took me a couple of minutes, but when I finally sunk in, I was like, that's pretty awesome. I like that little tie-in.
Yeah.
And they're actually protecting a huge kyber crystal, which is, again, in the trailer you see Saw Gerrera in front of a kyber crystal. It's this episode.
And it totally ties in because Director Krennic was those troopers were his personal troopers.
Right.
So the fact that they are the ones protecting that kyber crystal totally ties in the canon. I love this kind of stuff, this retrofit of who's here and who's there.
And to pretty much further that explanation, the last trooper that survives actually says, tell friggin' director blah 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 that they're here and some rebels are here and stuff. So this is the first time, aside from Rogue One, that he's mentioned.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're, like you said, all tying it all in and all that sort of thing. So I'm sure he'll probably make an appearance sometime in Rebels.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was pretty interesting was the kyber crystal was actually sort of singing to Ezra, like through the Force or whatever. He was the only one that could hear it, like throughout the episode until they finally saw it. And he said, "Oh, it's definitely coming from this."
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's the big kyber crystal, right? I'm gonna call it a Klyber crystal.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, it
I'm
was
calling
huge.
kyber.
It was.
Well, what they say is, when Jedis are making their lightsabers, is that how they find their stone is that it talks to them. So it's
Yeah.
bizarre that this big motherfucking Klyber crystal is doing
We
that.
discussed this very topic in episode 1, I think.
Yeah.
It sings to them, and what I like now about the canon of the Kyber. Kleber? What are we doing?
It's definitely not Klyber, if anything.
Yeah, if anything. You gotta use it, don't fuck the name.
Yeah.
So now they're saying
They were
that
smaller.
these particular crystals are alive, and
Right.
they don't just like sing to the Jedi, but they actually pick the Jedi.
Yeah.
Like
It's like an avatar.
Harry Potter wands.
Fucking
Right.
Harry Potter Padawans?
Padawans.
Harry Potter. Harry Padawans.
Harry Potter.
They're all Wookiees.
Harry Potter wand. That's my New England accent. Mushing everything together.
So yeah, I did. In the early episode, you did see the Kyber Crystal sing to Ezra as well, so that was a good connection. Let's see what's next here.
What's next here?
What's next here?
What's next?
So the whole
You got a hole
plan.
in your fucking arm there, buddy.
That's all right.
I hope what's next is
I've been
about
working
Star
out
Wars.
over there.
It's my
Jesus.
favorite.
So the whole plan is to get the prisoners on escape pods, and they're going to stop the hyperdrive and shoot them out into space essentially.
Yeah.
But Saw wants to see where the hell they're going and what's at this place that they say throughout the episode that is essentially not abandoned, but no one goes there. It's in the middle of space, sort of thing. So he thinks their weapon or whatever they're building is going to be right there. So when Sabine and Ezra go to the hyperdrive room, Saw stays with the crystal to protect it, and while they're working on it, about to take it out of hyperspace, Saw comes in and stuns both of them, and actually,
Stone Cold Stone?
yeah,
Ah.
kicks them right in the stomach and stuns the shit out of them. Dr. Hudenstein.
Cheap fucking plug.
So he stuns both of them and cuffs them, and he actually brings the crystal into the hyperdrive room, the engine room, whatever it is. And he eventually, once they get there, they see that's a big Star Destroyer waiting for him, that probably just going to pick up the cargo and go wherever they need to go.
So they weren't actually going to a place, they were meeting out
In a sector, yeah.
Yeah.
middle of nowhere, some clandestine spot where no one ever stops.
Right.
Because the story is that the Death Star rather, was built on like Geonosis, like the orbit of Geonosis. That's why they killed all Geonosians, whatever they're named.
Oh, that's where they started building it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if
And
you
then-
see in, what is it, Revenge of the Sith or Attack of the Clones, where there's
At the
actually
end
a
when
scene,
he hands
Yeah.
you the,
Yeah.
I know
because they were the ones that actually designed the whole Death Star.
Right, it was all that,
Fucking-
the
right.
separatists and
Exactly
stuff
right,
like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they put it there, and then they move it to, I think, Scarif,
Scarif, yeah.
the planet in Rogue One that's surrounded by a big force field and stuff. So
Right.
that's where it completes its construction, I guess.
Yeah.
So Saw ends up making the crystal unstable. He shoots it a few times. Well, shoots like near it a few times, and these things are really unstable.
Yeah.
So it starts emitting all this power around and like energy and stuff like that, and everyone knows it's going to blow up. So Saw lets both Ezra and Sabine go, and says, "You can come with me, or you can go do whatever you want." And they decide to go get the prisoners and get out of there.
Yeah.
So they end up going to the hangar where all the Death Troopers are supposed to be going, and essentially trying to get off the ship as well because they know it's blowing up. And they take everyone out and put the prisoners on there and get on them themselves and go out the hangar and survive. What was cool about that is Sabine's driving the ship, and she knows she doesn't have time to go into hyperspace, so she ends up going on the other side of the Star Destroyer. And the Kyber crystal blows up, destroys the cargo ship, the Star Destroyer. It even goes and hits the ship they're on. Doesn't destroy it, but turns all power off and all that stuff.
It was a smack fucking move.
That was
it
a pretty
It was
cool
impressive.
scene, yeah,
But
overall.
this is the first time that you see a Kyber crystal blow up.
Yeah.
Like,
So
not controlled like the Death Star.
So basically, Saw Gerrera just Jimmy rigged it so power was going into it with no release point. So it just started, just power was going into it, more and more power, until it gets critical mass, and then it explodes. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, he shot it like the outside of it a few times and did some other things to make it really, really unstable.
What I'm looking forward to with the whole Death Star thing, and I love that they included this in Rogue One, where they actually use Kyber crystals for the fucking laser. I want to see them get that Kyber crystal and actually install it. Like, I want to understand more how this, I want to see that whole fucking process.
Did you, by chance, play The Force Unleashed, either one of them?
Yeah, I got them both.
There's one.
I just don't remember them.
There's a part of, I can't remember which video game, I think it might be the second one, where he's actually in the Death Star, and he's running through the chamber, the barrel, basically.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Of where the beam comes out, and you got to kind of like hide in these little cubby holes.
Yeah.
Like a train's going by or something. They hide and come. They fire it.
Yeah, because every couple of seconds the fucking laser. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, that's cool.
And I remember there were lenses that you could break through to get to the next part of it. But I never saw a crystal per se.
No, I would have remembered that. I gotta play that fucking game again.
I gotta play all these games again.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I still have an old Xbox just to play Knights of the Old.
Oh, me too. I still have the original one.
Like that. I haven't bought a game system in such a long time, and I keep thinking to myself, like, why am I going to buy a new game system? If I was going to play a game, I would go play that one again.
Right.
I'm not the gamer I used to be, and now when I go play a game, it's got to be something that I really want to do.
That you just get sucked into.
See, I just have a couple of franchises that I stick to is Star Wars, Assassin's Creed. Like, I want to get an Xbox One X or whatever the fuck they're calling it now, just to get Assassin's Creed, because I'll get every one of those. But yeah, I've gotten picky in my old age.
So I posted something on my Facebook not too long ago that they're re-releasing the Knights of the Old Republic video game. My question is, and I know they're revamping it, but are they going to redo the mechanics of how you fight? Because I don't think the only thing I didn't like about it, that like how it stopped, everything stopped, and it wasn't in real time.
I don't think they're going to. Yeah. I mean, it's, as far as I know, it's not being remastered at all.
Well, they're doing a graphics update.
But it's going to naturally look better because it's a better system. But I don't think they're changing the game. I think it's just a re-release too.
Yeah, I think the only difference is the actual look of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I just started playing because of that. I was like, should I buy this again? I started playing that MMO again, and it's fucking wonderful still.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sweet, and it's free.
Well, if you have the old game, won't it play in your new Xbox?
Well, I can play mine in my 360. I don't know about Xbox One. I don't have one.
I hope so. I mean,
I thought that was like the deal. Like if you got a new Xbox, it always played the old video.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, but there's some, like for instance, I have from the original, I have Scarface, fucking awesome game. And it's like set up like Grand Theft Auto and all that shit. It's great.
Another great game.
So when I got 360, I said, oh cool, I can still play my shit. I put Knights of the Old Republic in, you could play that. I played part 2. Scarface I put in, you couldn't read it. So there were some that you could and some you couldn't. That sort of pissed me off.
That last Grand Theft Auto, the one with the dude that knew. There was a bunch of different characters you could play.
Yes, yeah, love that one.
I didn't get through the whole thing. That was the last video game that I had played somewhat religiously, and I didn't even finish it.
Here's a fun fact: the guy that the white, I can't think of his name in the game. He's the white guy with the like semi-balding head.
Yeah.
He's one of Negan's. The guy that voices him. He's one of Negan's sidekicks. I forget his name.
Looks like him too.
Looks exactly like him.
Oh, wow. Totally looks like
That's
him.
The guy that voices him. And
that's why that guy looks familiar to me.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah. I had no idea. I was like, this guy looks familiar. I can't place him.
Yeah.
He's in that video game. Oh, that's so weird.
And it's funny because when he first came on, I remember it. He was on an episode. I was in the other room and I heard the voice, and I'm like, is this a fucking Grand Theft Auto thing? I walk in and you see the real guy that looks like the fucking character. So you're like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, it's pretty
That's
cool.
come full circle for me now.
Yeah. Fun fact fuckers.
Fun fact.
Fun fact fuckers.
Fun fact fuckers.
This should be a segment on the show. Fun fact fuckers. Let's get into it.
So the end of the episode, now we got off topic again.
Yeah.
The ghost picks them up, and all the prisoners and everything goes happy, go. And the prisoners decide to actually join the rebellion because they saved them and everything. So now,
Of course.
the rebellion has all these power technicians and reactor technicians and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
They want to whip some ass now. You know?
I was trying to figure out if these people are actually important, like down the line, and I didn't see any information. So if you have any information, comment below, or email us or whatever. Just
That's interesting.
yeah, I figured maybe
Because they are important,
right.
Because that's why they stole them from the Empire stole them from their
Right.
families.
Yeah.
But are they actual canon?
Like you see them in the. I thought I saw some of them in the movies, but who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I'll have to watch it again just to see if I can pick up anything.
So I was just trying to make that connection to bring it up now, but if anyone else has any information, let us know.
Yeah.
And the Canyon.
Bruce will read all that stuff.
Yeah,
I don't.
definitely.
I'm not.
But he'll
This
tell
guy-
me about it later.
Yeah, he'll love it too.
I'm too fucking busy.
I'm not too busy. I just won't read it.
Yeah.
He's not devoted. So on the Ghost, Cannon mentions that this is the second time they stopped the Empire from getting a Kyber crystal. So obviously they've been trying to do it for a while. I think it was I'm not sure what season necessarily, but I remember the episode that they stopped them.
Now is a bigot too.
Yeah.
Right. And he wasn't sure. I think it was Ezra maybe that asked him if they could weaponize it. He's like, I don't know. Obviously they can't use the Death Star. We know the Death Star comes up.
But they use it in a weapon. They use it in a fucking lightsaber.
Yeah, but I mean, he means like the
Okay. Big
grand
scale.
scale, yeah. So it'll be interesting how that all sort of ties in and connects and all that happy war shit.
Right.
So that's pretty much all I have for the 2 episodes. I don't know if you guys have anything else to bring up.
Well,
Episodes.
Well, not about the episode, but I have one thing.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So I have a challenge, if you guys will accept. There's
Is
a
it Ice Bucket?
No,
Ice bucket.
No, I wouldn't.
Next
do that.
episode.
I wouldn't do that to you.
We're gonna short out all the electronics.
There's a
It'll be the
couple,
last podcast.
there's a couple of books that I've heard talked about on the interwebs. One of them is from a certain point of view. So it's a book with a bunch of different writers. They take on a bunch of different characters. Each writer does from a certain point of view from that character. There's even like a little thing in there about Yoda. And there's another book, and I think it's like a young adult book. There's supposed to be some like interesting things that go on in that. No. It's called Before the Awakening or something like that. I'll get the specifics for you. But I was thinking we could read these 2 books because Before the Awakening is a little one. It's not much to it. Read these 2 books and maybe talk about these books right before, like the episode before the movie comes out.
Cool.
Sounds
good.
good. Yeah, that sounds
All right,
good.
good.
Down.
Everybody listening too.
Yeah, read
that.
that.
So-
See on our podcast.
Yeah.
Before the Awakening, which is a young adult book, I think it's geared towards like teenagers, 15, 16.
That's us.
But
Yes.
yeah, I'm totally down with that.
In the mind.
But so apparently there's some interesting info in there about some particular characters and whatnot. So even though it's worth a look, even though it's geared towards kids, and also I just think that that other one from a certain point of view.
That seems intriguing.
Yeah, definitely.
I've definitely read the older books like that, compilation books like there's one about Tales from Tatooine or Jabba's Palace, Tales of the Bounty Hunters. There's been some. I didn't like all the stories in all those books, but I liked all those books.
At least they
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there
Give
was
you
some
more
cool.
info and stuff
Yeah,
like
there were
that.
cool stories in all of them about, and you'd learn like something about a completely innocuous character that you didn't even notice was there in the movie, and then you go back and I'm like, oh. And the
That guy,
30th
yeah.
time
I
I've
love
seen the
that,
movie,
yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I remember this dude from the book.
Right.
It's
Right.
weird how you remember them from the book.
Right.
When you, I don't know.
That's funny.
See, I like those types of things. I like, maybe hearing a story from a different point of view. Or, seeing these characters in the background for like 30 seconds. You're like, what's fucking his deal? And you read something and it tells a whole backstory.
There's one story about Yoda that I am particularly interested. I kind of can't wait to get to.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm wondering
It's
with
about
Good.
It's about Yoda. He's on Dagobah. He's pissed off about a situation. And, yeah. I just can't wait to get to
That'd be
it.
interesting, because there's really not much info on that.
No.
So I'm wondering what they'll do with like Agent Callus. Like he seems like a pretty cool character. He went from the Empire, and then him and Zeb got stuck on that planet, bonded, started talking. And essentially, he thought, okay, maybe the Empire's not for me.
Yeah.
And that's when he essentially turned and became like an informant for the rebels.
Yeah, that's when he became Fulcrum.
Yeah, right.
He took Ahsoka's place, and they had no idea. Like, who hired him?
Who knows?
Don't know.
The rebels seem pretty welcoming to whoever says, "I'll join you."
They are.
Like
They're not too.
these prisoners and stuff. Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, not knowing.
Like they could have been like a spy or something
Yeah.
just put there because they knew the rebels were gonna.
Maybe the Empire is really that shitty that they're like, yeah, of course you want to leave.
Yeah.
Why would we think any different? I don't know.
I'm sure there's
I'm
stories
just
out.
enabling.
Yeah, I'm sure there's stories out there too where people were discontent with the rebellion and actually went to the Empire. You know, and that'd be interesting too.
Well, some people think it's like a security thing, and they're bringing ore to the galaxy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot of
That's what
people
they
that you
say.
see, but I'm sure in the long run they're just fucking scared shitless of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, obviously, Vader and freaking Palpatine at the top.
You know, it's a given that George Lucas did base like the Empire on the Nazis. I mean, it's been said.
Right.
You know what I mean? And people in Germany during World War II, most of them were like Heil Hitler. You know what I mean? They were all into the bullshit he was spreading around because they thought it was for the better good.
I remember seeing one picture of like one of his speeches or something.
I know exactly what you want.
And there was one guy
Yep.
Yeah.
didn't do it. He just standing there listening to him.
Like
It's
this.
that guy's a fucking man.
Yeah.
Like he's not,
Yeah.
he's not a sheep. He's just thinking for himself. He's like, I don't agree with this.
Right. Right.
I don't know, it was just sort of cool.
Yeah.
So just a few topics I want to bring up about Rebels and just general things. We talked about it a little bit, but what do you guys think about like Saw Gerrera's tactics? Like we said, his extremists and stuff, but just to talk about it a little bit further, if you guys have anything else.
I always am into, if you have an organization that's doing stuff, against another organization, which is what's going on here. I like the little, I guess, input from like a sect of it or a person that's like, hey, well, I got a fucking really good idea. You know what I mean? Or he's that guy that will look at a grand scheme and really think dirty about it. It makes it intriguing. So I like his tactics because he's thinking more of like long-term, big picture. He's got tunnel vision going on, where he's like, this is the end result, and I'm gonna put all this shit aside unless it really is gonna get me to that end result.
I think he's right in the way that like if you keep fighting the Empire on their terms, you're gonna lose.
Right.
He's completely right about that.
Right.
I liked the fact when he just shows up at the relay station, like, I don't care if you're gonna plant a bug, I'm going to blow this up along with your bug. Right. I like that stuff, but at the same time, Mon Mothma's argument is right too. He goes too far in some situations, right? So I hate to like cross-contaminate genres, but I'm gonna go to Deep Space Nine for a second.
I've been watching that on Netflix.
The best Star Wars series is Deep Space Nine.
Best Star Wars series?
Yeah, did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
I'll screw up more than that again. The best Star Trek series is Deep Space Nine.
I agree. I like it.
So Major Kira, she talked about stuff she did during the war, where she'd blown up things, where there were civilians.
To protect their homeland.
Yeah, I mean, like at some point she was like, the Cardassians started putting civilians in places that we wanted to blow up. So it was like, that's exactly why they were putting there. So at some point we're just like, oh, you shouldn't have been there. You should have figured it out or whatever. I don't agree with her, but I mean, like, I wasn't in her situation. But at the same time, even like Captain Sisko, he did something really shady too with Garrick, was one of my favorite characters in the show.
Yeah.
There was a whole thing where they blew up a Romulan shuttle with an ambassador on it, but they made it look like the Dominion did it. And Cisco did a lot of shady shit to get that done. And, you know, at first he tried to be like, he tried to blame it on Garrick. Like, I didn't know you were going to do this. And Garrick was like, no, motherfucker, you knew what I was going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just, you know, your sensibilities just couldn't handle it.
Right.
You couldn't, you lied to yourself about this, basically.
Yeah.
So, am I saying they were right? Am I saying Kira's right? Am I saying Cisco is right? Nope. Am I saying they were wrong? Nope. That's kind of, it's a rebellion.
Sort of thing.
You know, there's a lot of gray areas. Is Saul Guerrero right? Nope. Is he wrong?
He thinks he's right, though. That's
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it's funny you brought up Kira because I just watched an episode. I'm on season 1, and I forget the guy's name, but he was a big up Kardashian. They have him in custody, and the entire episode is them just going back and forth, Kira and him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she's basically saying you're a fucking monster and all this shit, and he's like, yeah, but I did what I had to do because you know you saw his point of view with it, and then you saw her point of view, but they both did shitty shit.
There's at some point though when you're like, you can't just fall back on that. I did what I had to do.
Right.
You know, like, yeah, that's true. You did what you had to do, but
It's still
sometimes we need to do better
Yeah.
than that, right? Sometimes we need to do
a little bit
better.
more responsible, whatever.
Yeah, because that was the whole conflict in the episode. Is he was doing it basically overall with the conversations. He was doing it for his homeland. You know what I mean? And he explained to her, we needed your resources, and it's more important that we get our shit than your situation. So that's the way we looked at it. And she was like, and he said, well, you did some shitty stuff too. But then she, her defense was, well, we had to do what we got to do because
Is
you
that
guys
when
were
they
trying
were trapped on the planet together?
to.
In Gul Dukat, her and Gul Dukat, I mean.
I don't remember the dude's name. It totally slipped my fucking mind.
What
But he was in a cell. I think I'm on season 1.
What?
But he was in a cell.
You're
and
on season
somehow-
1?
Yeah.
It's good. Pay attention to what I'm about to say, or like pay attention in the episode.
Okay.
It seems to me that it is mandatory.
Mhm.
I'm gonna sound pretty bad when I say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It seems to me that it is mandatory that all female Bajorans have awesome butts.
Yeah, it's a given.
Through the entire series,
It's a given.
no matter what.
That was bad?
No matter what, every female Bajoran always has an awesome butt.
Yeah. And secondly, they have some
They do a
tits.
lot of squats.
You know.
Well, there was that one Dabo girl
Yeah.
that married Rom.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But anyway,
Yeah.
this show's about Star Wars, so
Yeah.
let's
About
get
the
back
real
to it.
stars.
Yeah. Not Bajoran tits and ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the theories, rumors, whatever, is that Ezra's actually Snoke.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
But
Fucking hate
Dave
it.
Filoni just shit on it.
Good.
Basically said that's not true. So I thought that was a...
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not true.
But they've been saying since day
No.
one.
But they both have pretty blue eyes.
Yeah. But they've been saying, what aggravates me with fucking dorks online and shit is that they've been saying since day one, basically, that Snoke is a new character, he's fucking old as shit. You know what I mean? Just take that and stop, is he fucking, Plagueis? Is he Ezra? Is he fucking
So
Del Toro's character? Like,
So I've been watching a bunch of theories and stuff, and we had actually touched on some stuff. I think we were totally on the right track. Episode 1, I think it was episode 1. We started talking about the original Emperor from back in the day. All right, so the theory that I'd seen that I liked a lot was basically this dude, whoever he is, maybe he's Nihilist, the old Emperor, or somebody completely different. He's basically like one of those guys, all right? And he has been dormant for a long time. And when the Purge happened, that woke him up. And I think he fed on a lot of the Jedi and whatnot that got killed. Like when they died, I think that's what woke him up. At least that's the theory that I've been seeing. Okay. And basically, he's been trying to get his shit together for the last. Well, how long has it been since the
50 years
since
or so?
the Purge? There's
it's been about 50 years.
Yeah.
50, 60 years.
Yeah, so the last, whatever, maybe it didn't wake him up fully, but there was definitely something to do with the purge, definitely woke him up or whatever.
Well, he might have died, and then, like, since it seems like he's healing himself, that helped him heal, and then just kept on going.
But that also goes along with the space vampire theory that Snoke is some kind of, he feeds off the energy of the
I mean,
Jedi.
you gotta think, if he feeds off Force energy, Vader dying, having the Force, the Emperor dying, ridiculous.
Yoda.
So, I mean, Yoda,
Those three
Obi-Wan, I mean,
I heard a
you
theory.
think put him over the edge or something, you know?
I heard a theory that by the end of this movie, he's going to eat Obi-Wan's soul. I don't know if it's true, but it was worth saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, whatever energy Obi-Wan has left in the universe to communicate with physical beings, Snoke is going to, like,
well, that was
get
something.
a straw and go to town.
Yeah,
That'd be, like, sort of stupid.
Here's something.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, it's there.
Some shit out there.
Here's something to maybe discuss. There was I don't know who put it out. Maybe it was Ryan Johnson or Filoni or something like that. But basically, what he was saying is, by the end of the trilogy, everything's going to be like tied in. Like, it's basically going to bring all three of the sequels in. And they were, they have been doing quite a bit of like prequel stuff. In Force Awakens, there's a lot of like hints to, nods to the prequels in The Last Jedi. It really has gotten my brain going, like, well, what does that mean? Like, what is it going to tie in from the prequels? Like, at the end of Episode 9, that you're going to say, okay, whatever happened in the prequels, it makes sense now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm wondering what he meant by that, because of course they're very vague about it, and he didn't really, elaborate too much on it, but it's a good conversation.
Yeah, it's wondering what they could do more than what has already been explained.
Right, because there was 2 or 3 things that I had going through my head, and I'm like, no.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is, like, for my own sanity, is why the Jedi's get their ass kicked so quick. But I don't know how you explain that aside from the shitty movie making.
Right. Or it's, there really wasn't a huge explanation of, like, the chosen one. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe they're going to elaborate more on that because, there's rumors that, like, Rey is the reincarnation of Anakin, and that goes
they
down
did have
to-
the Clone Wars episode that we talked about last.
Yeah.
Or the first episode, rather.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they did touch upon it more there.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows?
Yeah.
But if that's true, I wonder if they're going to make any more, like episode 10, 11, 12 eventually.
Yeah.
Like it ties everything. I mean, it doesn't obviously close the door, but if they tie everything in a nice little bow, then like, what's the point? Not what's the point, but if everything's perfect, then why mess with it?
I would assume that after this trilogy, they'd be done. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's any further that they could go. So, and I'm just clamoring for a fucking Old Republic trilogy.
I mean, you gotta think too, like
Sith Lords. Oh, I don't want a trilogy, I want a tenergy.
Tenergy.
12-a-G, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
like how many times are they gonna go, oh look, here's our savior, oh here's the bad guy.
Right.
It becomes like how, like you were talking about episode 1, I believe. The books and stuff after Return of the Jedi started sucking. Because, all of a sudden the Solo twins got fucking kidnapped every goddamn book.
Yeah.
And then there's a new super weapon every friggin' week. And it was just like,
one of the kids turns to the fucking dark side.
Yeah, and all of a sudden go back and whatever the case may be. I didn't do a lot of reading, but
I mean, because
I know that's just a lot of the stories.
Right, because essentially, I mean, like all 3 trilogies, they follow the same formula.
Kip Dameron, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Kip
but,
Dameron.
The super weapon, Kip Dameron, he was the one that, what was it called? There was another big giant super weapon like a Death Star, like a Star Crusher. Or
Stardust.
No,
that's
and Kip Duron. Kip Duron was the one that.
Sounds familiar.
He was the one that he went to the dark side, and he was the one. Kip Duron was
the Starforge?
No, that's from the video game.
Yeah.
Kip Duron, I think.
I know
was
exactly
the
what
one
you're talking about too.
that went south in the Jedi.
Is that what
Jedi
you're talking
Academy
about?
series,
The
I think.
thing that Revan found to like pretty much mass produce.
No, I'm in Luke Skywalker time after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, this is like the Jedi Academy
okay.
Kip Duron, he is. I hope I got the right guy, but he's the one that I think he's from the Jedi Academy series. he was the one that turned to the dark side. He had this big super weapon, and then before it all went down, he turned back to good. But I feel like he is the guy that they're taking between him and Jason Solo. That's what they're making Kylo Ren out of. Those
makes
stories
sense.
right there. Those characters.
Right.
Because he's the one that went south on the Jedi Academy. I'm pretty sure it was him. He's the one that turned to the dark side. He's the one that kind of fucked that whole thing up. If I'm wrong, please correct me.
Yes.
I'll look it up.
Call him an idiot.
That's fine. But yeah, I definitely think that's where they're getting the Kylo Ren.
Yeah, like we mentioned before, they're definitely stealing stuff all over from the books and EU and all that stuff, whatever they feel like.
Which is great because, like I said, fucking last episodes, when they said, "Oh, the EU doesn't exist now," I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, at least they're touching it and taking some what they think are good parts from it.
Right.
Yeah. They're just kind of like rehashing it and getting it more cohesive. Because like we were saying last time, there's a lot of good stuff in the expanded universe. There's a lot of shit.
There's a lot of shit.
Yeah. A lot of repetitive things.
Let's take all that good stuff and, maybe it's not Jaina and Jason Solo. Maybe they're not brother and sister. Maybe it's, Ben Solo and whoever the fuck Rey is related to.
Yeah.
Right.
But those two characters are definitely following that, those beats from those characters. To me, it seems like it's going that way.
All right, so a while ago we were talking about Dave Filoni. So I think he mentioned that obviously Rebels is ending from this season, but he mentioned that this isn't the last animated series.
Right.
So what would you guys like to see for the next one?
Old Republic. I'm clamoring for some Old Republic shit. I don't care what it is. It's way past time.
What I've always wanted to see from Star Wars is a kind of remember that show with back in the day? It was supposed to be Bruce Lee and another guy, but Carradine was in the show. And it was basically Carradine was this monk. He was a white. David Carradine was this martial artist, but he was white, obviously. And he was traveling the earth through the Old West. And, he was using his old lessons from when he was in Asia to kind of get through. So the thing I liked about that show, I can't remember the name of it, is how, they're just traveling the land, basically going wherever the wind takes you, and just dealing with issues from day to day. And I've always wanted to see like a Jedi story like that. Where, just kind of going out into the world, going wherever the Force takes us, and this Jedi and this Padawan just kind of like dealing with shit and helping people, and maybe just go to some town on some fucking planet somewhere. And
I mean, you gave me an idea.
Yeah, like a day-to-day thing with a Jedi, basically. That'd be great.
It'd be cool if there was like a Master and Padawan that survived Order 66 and went into hiding, and that was like the story.
Well, that would create a lot more tension.
Yeah, right.
I wasn't thinking that. I kind of like that better than my idea. Mine was just like, it's just a normal whatever, dealing with the normal day-to-day shit of the fucking, the old. Even if it was in the Old Republic or whatever.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
I didn't really have a time frame, but they're just going out to the world and dealing with shit. But I like that better. If it's in that time where they have to be secretive and still go help, that creates a lot more tension. So in some way, I kind of feel like they gave that to me with Ezra and Kanan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get at too. It's sort of like that with Rebels right now. They're hiding.
So,
but go a little bit further with it, like they're established Jedi and they were in the Order and all that stuff, and like they open it up. The first episode is Order 66. Either they're not involved or somehow they kill their clone troopers or get away, something like that, and then they just go from there and they go into unknown regions or whatever, and then do what they need to do.
Right, and the reason I think you don't get that from the Ezra and Kanan thing is because it's more focused towards a rebellion. You know what I mean? It's
right.
That's really the big story.
And they're already rebelling,
right?
before.
Yeah, it was already in
anything.
this.
Yeah, they were already like they were already with Hera and the Ghost and all that stuff.
Right.
And they found Ezra and the story. So they were already fighting. They're not trying to lay low for them. I mean, he is, as far as the Jedi thing, like it's a big thing when he's like finally takes out his lightsaber. But he's not hiding from the Empire that much.
Right.
Like he's essentially just being like, oh, here's my lightsaber. I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, it would be cool.
That was like the first episode, right? When he whips
Well,
up.
I think the first time it did was
the
when
second one.
when he they were trying to, I think, capture the Wookiees or something.
Yeah.
And then they were on like some platform and he takes it out to save them and everyone's like, oh shit.
Clicks it together.
Yeah.
I like his lightsaber hilt. It almost looks like the hilt of a katana.
Yeah.
Has that vibe to it.
Ezra's was cool too. I think that one got blown up or ruined or whatever. The one that,
clicky-
yeah, it had like a gun and then like the lightsaber too. That was sort of cool.
Man.
I did that. So mine was Old Republic, like you said, or a time between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. Because there are some books for that time frame, but if they don't explain enough of it in these next couple movies, like you don't really know what happened aside from a few of the books and stuff.
There's
like
some
that.
stuff in the books. I haven't gotten to these particular books yet, but there's some stuff in the books where Luke goes around with Ben Skywalker looking for old, just old stuff from that belonged to Jedi and Sith and whatnot, and that's apparently how he came across that little collection of actual paperback books that he has. So.
See, that'd be an intriguing fucking series too.
Yeah.
Just Luke and fucking Ben. Like
Yeah.
just following them around in the beginning before he freaks the fuck out.
Yeah, right up to the point of that burning of the temple or whatever that is.
I'd love to see that too.
Before Ben becomes Goth Vader.
God Vader. I love that.
Let's see what else. So talking about the photo that was not really leaked, but USA Today, I think it was, that showed the photo of Luke in front of the books that you see in the briefly, I believe, in the trailer.
Right.
Oh yeah, I saw those.
But they actually show like a pretty close up, and one of them is the Journal of Wills.
Yeah, it was confirmed.
And what this is essentially like what the Force is. It describes what it is. If you think about the time, the Force and what the Force is supposed to be and all this stuff has always been passed, well not always, but after this book or whenever it started, has always been passed on orally.
Yeah.
Like Obi-Wan was like, oh, this is the Force, Luke. This is what you should be doing with it. And then Yoda was probably doing it all through his reign and everything like that. And even, as far as we know, Sidious was the same way. And Plagueis and who knows who else. So in 1997, George Lucas describes Wills. This is a quote, by the way. Originally, I was trying to have the story be told by somebody else, an immortal being known as a Will. There was somebody watching this whole story and recording it. Somebody probably wiser than the mortal players in the actual events. I eventually dropped the idea, and the concepts behind the Wills turned into the Force. But the Wills became part of the massive amount of notes, quotes, background information that I used for the scripts. The stories were actually taken from the Journal of the Wills. And
Yeah, it was supposed to be like a narration.
So my
that.
Right. My whole thing was that perfectly points to Snoke. What if Snoke is the Wills?
I never thought.
What if they read this excerpt and they're like, ah, fuck you, Luke. I mean, fuck you, George. We're gonna make the Force and Wills a thing in this universe.
Yeah,
If he was there before the Empire, after the Empire, whatever. What if he's like some ridiculous, like almost the Force itself? I know he's like, well, as far as we know, dark side more than light, but I just thought that was very interesting to think about and be like, holy shit, like,
Yeah, because
that's the case.
you think about it, and I'll go to that shitty movie, Green Lantern. So those fucking guys with the big heads there, and one of them left and became that big clouded whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
Could be like that. The Wills could have been, a group of beings. Because I read a similar thing where George Lucas was treating it as they're not like gods, but they were like deities, in a sense. And one of them maybe went rogue, and that's Snoke.
Yeah.
I fucking never thought of that.
So the ones we saw at the end of the Clone Wars, they're some of the last ones, but they weren't the only ones.
Right.
Just a theory. I mean, it just when
That's
I
a
read
good-
this
that's a good
excerpt,
one.
when I was making these notes and stuff, I was like, "Holy shit!" Like this, like you put Snoke in this one of these sentences, I'm like, "Okay, that makes sense."
Yeah, that's
you know what I
fucking
mean.
genius. Yeah.
And you know, by Luke reading this journal upon the other books, it sounds like he doesn't believe in the Jedi way. Hence the Jedi need to die, or you know, his quote in the trailer.
Yeah.
So he doesn't believe in it for one reason or another. I'm sure. I hope they explain it further. So that's sort of what it seems like it's pointing to.
I am really fucking disappointed in myself for being such a Star Wars fan that I didn't fucking think that. Like I'm really fucking, but like I'm excited to think about that now.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's reaching, but it's not completely out of the question.
No.
But the thing is, they obviously went to the EU already for
Right.
parts.
Right.
If they read this excerpt or even like a summary of what George wanted at first, George Lucas, by the way, if you don't know, obviously,
George
why not
Lucas.
take more of his ideas?
Right.
If like, oh, that's a great idea, let's do this. The Forcer is already a thing, obviously, and then like, what if, like you said, he's one of the guardians of the Force or whatever the case may be, protector.
Yeah.
One of the wills.
Or maybe he's, you know, what you said last time, the sun or the dark side of the wills, and he's one of them, and then there's light side of the wills as well, or who knows?
Right.
Just a theory.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I was kind of thinking about that conversation the other day. The Luke, and even you know how you said the father wanted Anakin to stay and deal with that. Well, Anakin couldn't stay. All three of them, I think, were supposed to die because Anakin fathered the new light side baby and the new dark side baby. I think like Anakin, Luke, and Leia were all some kind of like echo of that. Maybe I think they were supposed to be
Right.
on some level the new
Father, daughter, son. Yeah. Shit.
the new aspects of that,
Right.
those entities.
Right.
Well, you gotta, if you think about that, if he stayed, like the father wanted to take his place essentially.
Right.
I say essentially too much, by the way.
He never would have gone.
Padme might have been like, I'm gonna go there and live with them, even though it forbidden or something.
Right.
And then have the kids, and all of a sudden, like you said, dark light side, maybe. I like that theory. It's a good way to think about it.
It's funny because, you know, I'm home with the kids, and sometimes I get these little moments when I'm like
Luke and Leia?
loading it.
They're playing in the sand.
I do have a boy and a girl. You know, there's these moments when I'm like loading the dishwasher, and I'll sneak some headphones and put on my iPad, and I'm watching, and I'll go down the rabbit hole on YouTube just about Star Wars videos.
Yeah.
And then during some of those moments, that's when I got to thinking about the conversation we had, I think, in the first episode, and it all just clicked. I'm like, oh, they weren't. It seemed to me like they were in the Clone Wars. They were trying to create those three aspects to say that, you know, Anakin, Luke, and Leia were going to be the new versions of those aspects in some way. I think they tried to retrofit that in something.
And that's why like a lot of people are like, well, who's Rey's parents and da da da. I've always since day one have thought that it was Han Solo and Leia. That I think that Kalo and her are fucking brother and sister. When he freaked the fuck out, they shipped her off to put her in hiding because Luke knew of this shit that's going on. You know what I mean? I think it makes a lot of sense now with them bringing in the Journal of the Wills. We take into consideration that they didn't tell the father, daughter, son story, and then you look at Anakin, Luke, and Leia. It's always like there's always like a trinity. You know what I mean?
And what you said is like the dark light side, like Luke, Leia, and Anakin. It could be just the same thing in this this trilogy.
Right.
Like somehow they're all connected.
Yeah.
Like in this instance will be Leia, Kylo, whatever his name is today.
Kodiak Ram.
Kodiak. It's like Kodiak.
Ray
and Ray.
Ray and Kylo are the dark and light, and Luke is the father.
Yeah.
Not necessarily their father,
Right.
but the representation of that aspect.
Especially if he goes gray, which
absolutely.
is sort of
What the father
was the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Luke and Leia would have been a better balance because I think Luke was essentially good, but you know he was prone to like slip it.
Yeah.
Where Leia was all about business, and then you know, even though she was all about business, she was still a good person. So like, they both had they weren't exactly all good or all bad or whatever.
What I always thought was weird with Luke was in Return of the Jedi, he does the Force choke thing to one of the pig people.
Right.
And that's the only time I see.
Cameron
Yeah, that's the only time I see a Jedi doing that. I always thought that was like a dark side sort of thing. Obviously, Vader does it.
Yeah.
Like to every single person he sees, basically. I was like, man, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, and I thought that too. Like, I've always, even before these movies were announced and I've always thought that Luke was, especially after the trilogies, because they made it clear that there's light and dark. But then when you went back and you watched the original trilogy, there's a lot of shit going on with Luke that it's like, well, he's pushing the boundaries here.
Yeah, he's skirting.
Yeah,
And he was rocking a black cloak and
the
everything
black
too.
outfit.
So it's like,
He looked like Sidious when he walked into Jabba's fucking palace. You know, and
When I was a kid, I was like, when I saw him dressed like that, I was like, this is the baddest motherfucker ever.
oh, I thought, yeah.
I thought he was so cool.
Yeah.
he was a badass in that movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
like
it all planned
Jabba,
out.
you gotta like, I'm just gonna blow you and kill you all, unless you give me what I want.
Yeah. And even that's not a Jedi thing
No,
to
it
say.
is.
You know,
It's like,
it's
this is
either
your
you
last
want this or you're
chance.
gonna die.
Yeah, this is your last chance. Like, oh man, that
Seriously,
was so
dude,
badass though.
I'm gonna kill everybody.
Yeah. You kept
It's
telling
your
him
last
to.
chance.
Yeah.
I thought that was very Jedi of him. I thought that was very. I mean, it's not
He's threatening murder.
He tried to tell them, like, listen, just give me my friends back. Everything's cool.
Yeah, he sent in the droids first, and they were like, oh, Jabba, that's his last name.
Well, maybe it was very Jedi, like you said, because he did give him many opportunities. You know, and they didn't take him serious, so.
But at the same time, what wasn't Jedi-like is, like, nobody but Luke knew that Luke was right. Everybody else heard Luke say his spiel and went,
Yeah.
you're gonna die, dude. It's all over. What, are you kidding me? I'm Jabba the
Look
Hutt.
what you're standing on.
Right.
Yeah.
Trapdoor.
They had no idea what the fuck they were doing.
Well, especially anyway, at that point, like, all the Jedi had been eradicated. Jabba was around during, you know, basically when Anakin was a kid. So he saw all this, and he saw them get wiped out. So you got some fucking, essentially a kid, walking into your shit. Yeah, he's got a lightsaber and stuff, but...
Yeah, if you remember Jabba and his chick and the little kid were at episode 1 at the pod races, so
Yeah.
you guys been around, at least since that long.
Right.
I like when you go back and watch that now. He actually says that he's a Jedi Knight in that video, and with the context of, you know, the Purge and Order 66 and all that, like, that's some more balls of shit right there.
Right.
Like, I am a Jedi. When you state that out for people to hear it in that time frame, that's ballsy.
Yeah.
As far as
Because
everybody
even-
knows.
Yeah. Because even like Kanan and stuff like that, like he was very like, let's not let anybody know that we're fucking Jedi.
Right.
Because we saw what happened. Essentially.
Yeah,
So,
the
yes.
Inquisitor comes in, and eventually Darth Vader, and
Yeah. As soon as
nobody
they
wants that
smell-
kind of static.
No. As soon as they smell Jedi, they're fucking on your ass. You know, it's
That's one thing I want to see with, now that you mentioned it, with Rebels 2 is more of the Inquisitors. I thought there was, some of them were sort of weird and like stupid, but I think overall it was like a pretty cool way to throw in some like Force users and stuff like that.
Which is from the books too. The
Yeah.
Inquisitors are from the books. I didn't like the helicopter lightsabers, but other
No,
than
that
I did
fucking
like.
hated that.
really hated
I
that.
did
Too.
like
I
the
think that's probably
Inquisitors.
across the board. Everyone says the same thing.
Yeah.
But they were, you know, a good antagonist throughout the series.
especially the, you know, like the initial Inquisitor.
The
Yeah.
first one was really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, that season 1 was like, and then when Kanan finally was like, I'm using the Force, and like cuts him and pushes him off or whatever it was.
Right.
It was like, wow, okay, now Jedi's a Jedi.
Right.
Like you see the power of the Force again, finally, and it was just cool because he was kicking their ass the whole fucking season.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like he
was
couldn't be touched essentially.
Yeah.
Essentially again.
Right. Essentially.
I'm actually going back and watching all the Rebels all over again.
Yeah, I need to as well.
Yeah.
Since we started this, like, what was it, last week? Has it been a week?
Yeah.
It feels like so much more time has gone by.
It's been that bad.
Yeah. I'm alone with kids all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like an eternity.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm going back to watch all of I'm almost done with season 1, and
What are you watching on?
my tablet.
No, like from what?
Oh, Disney XD or Disney Junior has an
Yeah,
app.
they got an app. Yeah.
Oh, they have them all on there though? Like
And
that
they-
old?
Except for the new ones. They don't have the new ones.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
So I have to see the new ones
Tweet that.
through other ways.
Tweet that.
So Disney Junior has an app that you can download, and it's great because there's stuff for my daughter on there. But mostly the most important thing.
Yeah, of course.
I get to watch Star Wars cartoons. So that's really the important thing.
So we talked about the Praetorian Guard a little bit last time.
Yeah.
Him being in the background if the Knights are running and stuff like that. And I think we've all done a little bit more research on it.
Yeah, I'm glad
So
you
what
brought that up.
are you guys thinking about that connection? I know we were like, I think we were on the side of they're different. You were on the side that it sounds like they're the same.
So,
Yeah.
So last time you thought the Praetorian Guards were the Knights of Ren, and I was nah. So I've since gone down the rabbit hole on that a little bit, and I think I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go lean towards more your side on that. Only because like what I heard and the way they it's not. So like one of the first things I noticed is like all the Knights of Ren have different weapons. And
Yes.
all the Praetorian Guards have different weapons.
And that was one of the first things that made me think it too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so my thing with that is like we're pretty sure that they're gonna fight Kylo in the movie. We're not 100%, but we're pretty sure that that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see how that's gonna play out. Like, is it like one of the things? I think you had mentioned like, is it like a punishment or something? Is he sent?
Yeah,
down
basically
there?
because he failed,
He
like
fucked up, yeah.
he fucked up, couldn't get Rey, and
Or is Kylo just gonna? Go
I heard that
down?
as a rumor. I think I read it.
But I mean, like, what is Snoke doing to these guys to make them turn on the leader of the Knights of Ren, which is Kylo?
Well, I'm sort of 50-50 because, I mean, they could very easily be, but I wouldn't sort of like them to be two separate things just for, like, more bad guys would be cool.
Yeah.
But some things to think about. Some people thought that they were droids before, but but it's been confirmed that they're actually all human.
Good.
And in The Force Awakens, you only see 6 Knights of Ren. And there's supposed to be 8 Praetorian Guards, given all of them needed to be there.
Okay.
But, so that's one of the things, like, saying, no, they can't be the Knights of Ren because they're not all there. Obviously, 2 could
6,
be.
including Keanu Reeves. I mean,
Keanu
Kylo Ren.
He'd be a great Kylo Ren.
Keanu Ren.
But if he was a little younger.
Hello, guys! The Force!
That's my lightsaber.
Get her!
Fuck you, Luke.
So I'm not sure if it was 6 including him or 6 like in him, like 7 was him.
You should have all this information.
You're the fucking host here.
You know,
How are we supposed to
back
fucking
in my day,
talk?
there's some respect.
Jesus.
I'm older than you.
Right, so am I.
It happens.
It happens. People are born.
Yeah,
Look on your face like this is
I wasn't
totally-
the first person, I'm pretty sure. So, and the Knights of Ren are rumored to actually be students of the Temple or Luke's Academy or whatever beforehand.
I saw that there.
And
too,
I
yeah.
saw that theory. So somehow, some way, they might all turn on Luke. Maybe that's why he doesn't just kick all their asses because they're pretty powerful
Yeah.
with the Force and all that.
These are all House Slytherin from Luke's Academy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So not only did he fuck up
They killed all the
fucking
Gryffindor.
Keanu Ren, but he fucked up all the rest of them, so they all go ape shit on him.
Or Snoke was just, oh, I love you, come here. Again, the van aspect.
Right.
I have candy for everyone. You want
Come
to
here, dark side candy.
Yeah.
I got some candy for you.
I got enough to share. Come on. I love the T-shirt and stuff like that. Like, oh, come to the dark side. We have cookies. I think it's great. That's what I see Snoke doing. The one thing totally off what we're talking about, but I thought was very interesting and funny. And A New Hope, the Tusken Raiders run away from Obi-Wan, and they're like, as soon as he comes over the hill, they run. And I was thinking that was connected because you got to think about, and what was it, Clone Wars? Was it Clone Wars when Anakin attacked the Tusken Raider village? Or was that Return of the Sith? Revenge. God damn it. Anyway.
When he did the Tusken Raiders?
Yeah, when
that
he
was
Shmi and all that stuff.
That was.
I don't say it was clones, but
It
anyway,
might have been clones.
that's irrelevant.
Shit.
So you figure word got around, this cloaked motherfucker with a lightsaber came and killed the whole village by himself. And now they see a robed guy come where Tusken Raiders are and they run away. Like maybe they're still fucking scared of some robed
Did they
motherfuckers.
actually see him? Did they actually see him?
I know he made the noise.
Because
because
you
he
know what
said
the
he was-
noise was?
No.
It's the sound a crate dragon makes.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So that's why they got freaked out. Because
I like my theory
Fucking
better.
crate dragons.
My theory is better. They were just scared and
Yeah.
it got passed down like people in hoods.
It's a good theory, but the real
I
thing
was
is
a fucking
fucking
asshole.
Why are you here?
Yeah. Why are
You got no information.
No information.
All your information's incorrect.
Anyway, I thought that was fucking cool to connect anyway, but apparently.
Yeah, that
is
is a cool thing.
Yeah, it is. Alright, I'll be here alone next week.
These guys suck. I don't like them.
So that's all I have for Rebels and other stories and all that stuff. And I'd like to get back into, well, the first segment of What If. I don't know if you guys have anything else to bring up or anything like that.
Yep. No, let's do the what if.
Yeah, let's do the what if.
So again, if anyone wants to have us talk about a what if or any topics on any future shows,
We'll be more than happy to go down the
that
rabbit hole.
right there.
Right, you get into down. Well,
So Geeking Out Podcast at Outlook.com. Our Twitter's up there, YouTube page, etc.
you can even ask me at my Twitter at the Sleaze52.
What?
Yeah.
You have something that does stuff?
Yep.
That's incredible.
I'm famous.
Yeah, tens of people know. Who
Tens of
Tens of-
hundreds of people. Bringing in no money.
Yeah. Alright, so my what if. So this is going to be a relatively regular segment if we can keep on coming up with decent ideas. Might not be every episode, might be every other, or, we'll just decide when we feel like one's warranted.
Reoccurring evil character.
Yes.
Awesome.
So in Revenge of the Sith, after Padme dies, Senator Organa, Yoda, and Obi-Wan are deciding what to do with the twins. My whole what if is, what if Senator Organa and wanted a boy instead of a girl, and Luke went with him, and then Leia went to Tatooine. What would this change in the whole grand scheme of things?
I can come up with something real quick.
I mean,
One
good.
is Obi-Wan would have a much better fucking place to live. Because
No,
he'd be on
he's-
Alderaan.
No, he's going to Tatooine because he brings, after Organa says, I'm going to take this one, he's like, okay, I'll bring the other one to this family.
Let me just clarify this then. So basically what you're saying is if Luke went to Alderaan and Leia
Right,
went to
he became
Tatooine.
Prince
That's the
Luke.
only thing that changes. Just
Right.
where the babies went.
So, if you remember in Revenge, I almost said Return again, Revenge of the Sith, Senator Organa was like, oh, me and my wife always wanted a girl. If he's like,
Yeah.
me and my wife always wanted a boy instead,
So what if he's like, bitch, I don't want a girl, I want a fucking boy.
he can be an asshole if you want.
Alright. I like that scenario better.
Off track.
Thank you. He's helping a lot here. So obviously, like I said, Luke would have went with him to Alderaan and became Prince Luke and maybe got into politics, the same sort of what Leia did.
Prince Luke Organa. Okay.
Sounds super gay, but okay.
If you're gonna ruin this whole segment, you guys can leave.
Well, we're just clarifying the scenario you're painting for us.
Okay. And Leia went to Tatooine and be under the protection of Obi-Wan.
All right.
The first discussion is, would Leia and Han Solo fall in love? Obviously, with the whole...
Luke and Han Solo?
Maybe Luke and Han Solo.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be weird.
It would be weird.
Yeah.
But Kylo Ren, Kiwi Ren wouldn't be around if them two got together, or unless they adopted, maybe.
So you're asking, would Han and Leia still get together?
Right.
So he wouldn't be calling her princess all the time, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah.
But
he
it
would
would be hilarious if he
princess.
called Luke princess. I would.
Princess Luke.
Listen, princess. I'm a prince. Whatever.
Well, you figure, like... This is a very serious podcast.
Yeah.
Serious. Stop it.
Serious. He and Luke saved Princess Leia from the Death Star and all that stuff. And you got to think that'd probably be the start of their relationship. And, oh, thanks for saving me. I'm attracted to you anyway. So maybe she started falling for him right then and there. And obviously when he comes back, he shoots Darth Vader's ship. He comes back and saves Luke and all that stuff. She's falling for him more there.
So wouldn't Han and Leia have to save Luke?
Right.
Okay.
So Luke is on the ship. So if you think back at Rogue One,
Yep.
he's on the ship and he gets a plan to the Death Star.
Yep.
And they get captured, go on the Death Star. He is supposed to be exterminated or whatever.
So Leia, in essence, is me.
Leia is Luke, and Luke is Leia.
Okay, I got that, right?
Right.
So, but like I'm saying, Leia, her character, not her character, but her inner character. Okay, she's a very focused, go get 'em kind of individual. Would she still be like that if she was
I don't think
on
so.
Tatooine? Would you know what I mean?
I don't think so. I don't know if
She would be
they would
more
like.
roguish, I think.
Like, I don't know if they would throw her into like the farm girl aspect that Luke was. And
That would be hot, though.
that's sort of
Well, I mean, in reality, and I've heard this from a doctor before, and he said 99.9. Yes. 99 point another fucking plug. 99.9% of your personality is learned. You know, you're not born into your personality.
With a product of our environment,
Right, so
to speak.
yeah, they would totally just be different. Like Luke would be more reformed. He'd be the one that's focused, and because he was raised that way. She would be on a backwater fucking planet, no pun intended, because it's fucking sand, going through what he was going through. She would be the lackadaisical.
I mean, my whole thought process was the names are different, and it's male and female. That's all. Like every other thing that happened in the movies would be the same, aside from
So she'd still
Han Solo and Luke wouldn't fall in love unless we want to go down that rabbit hole. But again, to the movies now coming out, Kylo Ren wouldn't be around,
Yeah, it'd be no movie.
and
So she would be the one like, I don't wanna be here. Like she's basically Belle in this movie, waiting for Han Solo.
And one thing you gotta think of too is on Empire, like with Leia, or rather with Luke, force a kiss on Leia. Like when he's trying to like make Han Solo feel like an asshole. Like after he gets out of the
I think that
active
would
tank and
happen.
stuff.
I think that would happen.
I think I think there's some element of Leia that would still be there. Like I don't think she would be I want to go to the academy. I don't want to be a farmer. I don't think she would be like that. I think she would be more like, this is what I got to do. I'm going to take care of it. I want to go to the academy, but I'm going to take care of this. I still think that she would be
The maturity
assertive.
level would be.
I still think she would be assertive. And then, but I in another way, I feel that she would be a bit roguish. So like, when that conversation with Han Solo comes up, and she's like, you know, like, oh, we're not going to pay that much for a ride, And Han Solo's like, who's going to fly it? You? And he's like, yeah, I could fly it. I could totally fly it. I think she would be more like, yeah, I could fly it.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the kind of person. I think it would change in those ways.
Yeah,
I can't look at Leia and not see a feisty chick that you have to like. When you see that kind of person, whether it's a girl or a boy, you're always kind of like, don't fuck with them in a certain way. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing too. You're still dealing with a teenage boy and a teenage girl.
True.
You know what I mean? The teenage boy is going to be the fucking lackadaisical, lazy ass, basically.
Sure.
And the woman is going to be the teenager, female, is going to be more. Yeah. She still went through the same trials. Her personality traits are probably going to be different. Like she's less reformed and stuff like that. She wasn't raised in a freaking castle or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. She's still going to have that assertiveness. And
she's feisty as
yeah,
fuck.
The feistiness will probably always be there.
Yeah.
My question is, I think Han Solo was a fucking womanizer anyway, so he basically fuck any girl he came
I think they would get along better. I think Leia would be the one pursuing him in that situation.
And he would
be the
So
one.
you think,
Yeah.
you know, with Obi-Wan and Yoda trying to keep him straight and narrow down the Jedi path, you think she would go for love instead of just being like, okay, I'm focused on.
No, I think she would. I
hand?
think she would kind of be like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of vibe. Like, okay, I have a date, so let's get this Jedi stuff out of the way. Me and Han Solo are gonna, do the Kessel Run. You know what I mean?
He can last longer than 6 parsecs.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think
That's a measure of space, not time.
I think if you really looked at it and they got put into the same scenarios and shit, I think they probably still would have ended up together. I think it's.
Well, if that's the case, do you think she would go through the whole process of going to the Death Star, trying to turn Vader? Would Vader turn?
Yeah, that's another.
Or would she be like, or would she take the Emperor's candy in the snow case and be like, I'll freaking join you. This is sweet. Let's do this now. Do you give me power plus you give my love Han Solo?
Well, you got to keep in mind, you got to be thinking in a woman's perspective. And I think that dynamic between her and Vader, like if he found out he had a daughter.
Yeah, Daddy's little girl.
Right, that whole thing would go on. I think that would be a lot more of an emotional, situation than father and son, because he's more like, hey, you're my boy, we're going to take over the fucking galaxy.
Right.
Where the different dynamic with father and daughter,
I wonder if Vader would have, almost attacked the Emperor beforehand.
I think
to protect his little girl.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You guys, you just reminded me of not last Christmas, but the Christmas before. Me and my daughter are decorating the tree, and I have these Star Wars decorations, right? And one of them is a Darth Vader, and when you plug him in, he talks, right? So so I'm like, we're pulling stuff out, ornament by ornament, and I'm like, look at this, Darth Vader. She's like, awesome. So she's got this little step stool thingy where she stands on, where she's climbing up to put the stuff on, and we put this Darth Vader stuff, the Darth Vader ornament on, and we plug it in, and as he starts talking, I look at her, and she looks at me, and she's got this look on her face like, that's completely, oh my God, that's so amazing, it talks. And then she we kind of look at each other, and then we look back at the tree, and then she puts her arm around me as Darth Vader is saying some evil shit. And I'm like, this is the perfect Christmas moment ever.
That's good.
It's so funny, because if it wasn't for the step stool, she wouldn't be able to put her arm around me. I was just like, oh my God.
That's funny.
Something you can't recreate either.
No, it's one of the
that naturally happened.
I've raised a kid, and he's 20 years old now, and he's a boy. And I always said to my wife, I'm so glad I never had a daughter, because for the simple fact, it's a different dynamic. I sometimes want to put my physical hands on this boy. You know what I mean? But I feel
you want to beat up all your kids. You just don't.
Yeah. But if
they all drive you nuts.
Yeah, but with me, it's there's a different dynamic with a little girl. You know what I mean? Where it's I think she would fucking just own me. Whereas a boy, you could just be like, hey, I'm your dad, you're my son, get the fuck out of here.
Toughen up, sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's a different thing. I think the first time, like, you know, you see your daughter cry or something, you're gonna be like, oh my fucking god, like. So I think that whole dynamic with Leia and fucking, and I wish they would. I mean, they did a little bit more in the Aftermath books where they had a story about Leia finding out, you know, and all that.
I read
stuff.
that one. Yeah, one of the few I have read. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
But
Bloodline.
Bloodline, yeah. And
It's right there.
It is right there.
It's on the
right
shelf.
but yeah, so like seeing the whole different dynamic between Leia and Vader, you know, just for a simple, you know, father-daughter thing would be fucking pretty intriguing. You know?
Yeah. The little boys drive you crazy. Girls, they fuck with your mind. They take a piece of your soul.
Yeah.
And they just twist it.
Yep.
my
That's why I didn't want it.
My whole thing was, I had a boy first,
Yep.
and then my wife got pregnant again. I was like, I hope I don't get a girl, because I know I'd probably be in jail very quickly.
Yeah.
Like the first time some guy breaks her heart or
He's dead.
calls her a bitch or something,
Yeah.
it's like, I'm probably going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Like, again, the more, you're a lot more protective, at least I would feel, probably a lot more protective with my daughter. I don't have one, so I don't know for sure. Than my son.
I wanted a
Yeah.
boy for those same reasons, and then after I had a girl, she totally just changed my perspective on the universe. I'm like, maybe there's a chance for humanity. Maybe I don't hate everybody other than the people I know. I don't know. But so when my wife got pregnant again, I wanted a girl again, and it turned out it was a boy. I like him. He's cool. No, he's awesome.
We'll keep him.
He's alright.
I'm gonna keep him.
You can't give him back, so.
No, it's you are definitely right. It's different.
It's
You
different.
feel
It's
different.
different.
It's not that you feel less love. It's a different kind of love. It's
Someday
like-
when he sees this podcast, he's going to hate you.
no, I just want to say
He's
it's
forever.
definitely different. It's definitely a different kind of thing. Like, but don't get me wrong. Like, my son melts my heart just like my daughter does.
Oh, yeah.
When he smiles at me with those dimples, and I'm just like, look at you. Look, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
He's gonna be one of those kids that just, he's super handsome. He's gonna be one of those dudes that just walks into a room like, yeah, I'm here for all the free pussy. Right? Okay, thank you.
Just line up with the vaginas and I'll take care of it.
My daughter's gorgeous too, and I'm super worried about that. Like going back to what you were saying. But you know what I did right off the bat? Like I try not to push princess stereotypes on her. And like when we watch those movies, and I'm like, I always say things like, why couldn't she just save herself? Why she have to wait for that dude?
Yeah.
Well, what's up with that? You know, that's why my daughter has she has her princess dresses, her little dollhouses, and a weapons bin.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, what every little girl should have.
Good
A
mixture.
weapons bin.
Right.
My whole hope was I had a boy first, so if I had a girl, at least there'd be an older brother to sort of protect her and not go to jail as easily.
I think she's emotional, but she's definitely tough. She's
Well, it's
definitely.
like with me, I had a brother and a sister.
Mhm.
Yeah, I killed them both.
Yeah.
And me being the oldest of the three, I felt that I had to protect both of them in a sense, you know,
Sure.
with certain
Yeah.
scenarios, but it was different because I just didn't want any fucking dude near my sister. You know what I mean? It was one of those protective things. Where with my brother, who was a massive fucking pain in the ass,
Yes. Tell me
I hate
about
that
it.
guy.
it was a different thing. I was trying to protect him from other dudes. You know what I mean?
I was
It
cute.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, he was cute. Sorry.
They were constantly
They're
trying to
trying to
fucking
friggin'
wet his whistle.
Take my anus away.
But it was a different kind of protection. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where it was like
Condoms.
condoms. Yes.
I don't know, like when the
That's
issue
where you
is
put them. You're right. You learned.
I don't know what I'm gonna say to my kids when the issue of sex comes up. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
You don't do that, but it feels really good.
Be selective,
Yeah.
but you know it's awesome. But be selective. You know, a lot of people that want to have sex with you, you probably shouldn't have sex with
Yeah.
them. You know,
They have the
whatever.
clout.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But getting back to Luke and Leia, I am curious about what if it was exactly the same and nothing changed, but somehow it was finagled that Yoda got Leia. So
Right. 'Cause if that was the case, that would be what happened.
So the end result is still the same. Yoda, you're saying, if it gets switched around, Leia would go to Yoda because he was on Tatooine.
Obi-Wan would still essentially get himself killed, and all that would still happen.
But my thing is, or maybe not. I'm not going to speculate on that. But like the thing I want to push is like, what if Princess Leia was the one? Like, what if Yoda, or even Obi-Wan finagled and called up Bail? Hey, you remember Yoda? Yeah, he thinks Leia's old enough. Out of the two of them, he wants that one. You know what I mean?
Well, the whole thing with I think it was Empire, when he's like, oh, Obi-Wan's talking Yoda, he's saying that's our only hope, and he's like, no, there is another.
Right.
Obviously, that's Leia, so it could have happened that way.
And I never understood that. Why was there? It's very chauvinistic. First off. But why was there never a thought process of, fuck, they're both probably strong in the Force. They're both Anakin's kids.
Yeah.
We got a better chance of training them both. You know what I mean? Instead of just, they sort of brushed Leia away. Where it was like, whatever. We're going to send the only real strong-ass fucking Jedi to go protect this boy because he's our hope. But fuck the girl. You know what I mean?
It was that was kind of chauvinist. But not to Yoda. Apparently Yoda, the whole time, was like, nah. So, like, I think if Princess Leia got to Yoda and was trained by Yoda, I don't think it would have been as tense as it was, because I think Leia would have cleaned house.
Right. She would have been more focused.
But
you figure Luke had, he flew on Tatooine.
Yeah.
He had a rough life. He knew how to, just shoot a gun and stuff like that. So at least he had some background in fighting and
But he was a little
combat.
wishy-washy.
He was.
A little bit,
But if you look at Leia, she was brought up in a castle and all political, got everything essentially handed to her, essentially again.
I don't know, she's had some pretty tough training.
No, she
I was going to
has.
say, she knew what she was doing, too.
And she, obviously, don't know the whole story, but she's in the rebellion.
Right.
Even though she's hiding from it.
She was doing sneaky shit the whole time.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, just from an aspect of comparing the two. He was sort of ready to fight the Empire before he even knew he had the Force.
I think either way.
It shows the maturity. The difference in maturity.
Luke was.
Right.
He wanted.
Say that again?
Luke wanted to join the Academy to go and fight the Empire before he even knew he had the Force or anything.
Yeah.
He wanted to become a fighter. So, he already had that.
Which Academy,
goal.
though? Because they had the Imperial Academy, which Han Solo was actually in before he became a smuggler.
That is true.
So there's...
No, he wanted to fight the rebellion. He actually said it.
But he wanted to fight the... Yes.
the Empire. I'm sorry.
I thought he was going to...
See, I thought it was the Imperial Academy that he wanted to... It's basically...
It is the Imperial Academy, because...
Didn't he say you wanted to fight the Empire?
No, when Wedge comes back in that deleted scene, basically... Wedge admits
to watch those movies again.
In the deleted scene with not Wedge, I'm sorry, Darklighter, Biggs Darklighter, from A New Hope. When you look at the deleted scene with Biggs, he basically says like, "Dude, I've left the Academy, I left the Empire. I'm fucking with the rebellion now. I'm not telling anybody." So, I think he even tries to recruit. I could be wrong about this, but I think he tries to even recruit Luke a little bit with that one. So,
he is flying. Like you see when he was playing with the ship, that is the Imperial ship.
Right,
too.
so it makes sense. But that was the deal with Han Solo, too. He joined the Academy.
That was a Skyhopper. No, not a Skyhopper. The thing that... What did he say he hit swamp rats with?
Oh,
T-16.
T-16, yeah. That little model, that's what that is.
Oh, that's all it is. I thought it was. I thought it was one of an older model.
But it does. Yeah,
they ship or something.
They do kind of look like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
But that's the what he's doing there. That's a little T-16, whatever.
Yeah, because the whole deal, real quick, the whole deal with Han Solo is the reason why he left is because he was witnessing the slavery of the fucking Wookiees.
Yeah, and he saved Chewie.
Yeah, he saved Chewie and fucking
basically got exactly. Well, did you read the trilogy? I can't remember her name. I want to say it was A.C. Crispin, about the Han Solo trilogy there. How he how he wins. It goes from it starts off with right after him and Chewie hooked up, and
how he wins the Falcon.
That's in the last book and whatever.
Yeah.
The girl he meets along the way.
Right.
Those 3 books, I don't know what it was, but I literally finished them in like a week's time. Like all, and I couldn't. I ended up like staying up late and like missing work one day. It was a rainy day, and I'm like,
it was rainy. Star Wars was there.
But go ahead. No, I've talked enough.
I'm the host. Fuck you guys.
I'll let you
carry on.
But the back to the Luke thing. He literally says, "I don't like the Empire. I hate them." To Obi-Wan, but I can't leave right now. And Obi-Wan says, "That's your uncle talking." So if he was ready to join the Empire Academy, why would he say that?
That doesn't make sense. Now that you say that out loud.
Right.
He does say
that.
So
now I'm like confused because what you guys are saying, I'm like, okay, maybe he did mean the Empire.
Maybe he just wants to go to the Academy just to be a pilot and then say, fuck the Empire. I'm going to go be a freighter.
And that's just a fucking
I mean, in real life, there's plenty of people that don't agree with all the shit that's going on politically in the fucking military and shit. But they'll join to like get an education or,
or
whatever.
Just because they're patriotic or whatever.
Or just get away from a fucking sand dune fucking
planet. Yeah, so that could be the case.
As a vehicle just to get off that fucking planet. Excuse me, totally.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to rewatch that movie now.
I think either way, if Leia got trained by Yoda. Yoder? He's Amish now. He's Yoder.
I see him in the friggin' mountains just Yoder! Like Holdor.
I definitely think she would have been a better choice.
Yeah. It would have been less drama.
I think she would have cleaned house easier, but I think she might have been a little easier to return to the dark side. Maybe.
Would she have left Dagobah when Yoder said no to go to Cloud City and save his friends, save her friends?
I don't know. She's definitely headstrong. I don't know. I definitely think there's more of a chance that she might have listened to reason.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would have mattered anyway because Lando saves them anyway. Doesn't save Han because Han gets taken, but he saves Leia and Chewbacca and C-3PO and R2-D2 and all that stuff and gets out of the Falcon. And remember, they fly away and they have to come back and get Luke.
Yeah, I mean, Luke really didn't do much.
Would that even have happened? Because if Leia was with
Yoder,
Han, would she have made Han take her to Dagobah? And somehow they captured Luke in a totally different way?
Maybe. And it was all a trap to get Luke there.
Right.
Or in this case, Leia. So would Vader just be waiting where...
waiting like a dumbass.
Yeah, waiting like, okay, well, no one has seen an X-Wing land, or... I haven't felt him in the Force, but I'm just going to say it for 10 more minutes.
Like fucking
it totally
3 days.
blows big chunks of the movie out of the water.
Yeah,
like, as soon as you start switching that around, like, people know where they were.
I'm just talking.
Yeah, but I'm like...
But yeah, it brings different dynamics to a lot of shit.
And this is, again, the what-if segment, like, switching one little thing, just his... it just
snowballs into all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah.
Totally changes a ton of shit of the movie. But the basic thing we're going for here is, what if Leia was trained and not Luke? I think Leia would have been a badass.
Yeah.
I think Leia would have been a badass. I think she would have caught on before Luke. Like, Luke didn't come into his own until Return of the Jedi.
Right.
I think by the end of Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader would have been like, hey, don't make her mad.
Yeah. She's a bitch.
She's on the rag this week.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
You are definitely getting some
fucking...
well,
maybe she'll turn on the dark
side.
Some
comments.
Right.
She might have. I'm not going there, though. I'm not saying it's because of the time of her month or anything like that. That's all on you.
They go to the dark side every month.
Or the red side or whatever.
They keep on switching back and forth.
I'm going to get in a lot of trouble. Anyway, I definitely think Leia would have been a badass.
Yeah.
I definitely think at the end of that fight, Darth Vader would have been having second thoughts about who he thinks is going to run the universe. Leia definitely would have fucking I think she would have plowed right through Vader, right to the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was already, like, I'm not fucking afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you, Darth Vader. I'm not afraid of you, Tarkin. Fuck all of you.
Yeah.
Right.
You give her a lightsaber and force powers, she just would have carved her way right to the Emperor.
Oh yeah.
I guarantee it.
I agree because a lot of things Luke.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, a lot of things Luke was struggling with was like he didn't think he was capable of doing shit. You know what I mean? Like in the beginning, where I think her confidence would have been like, if I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna go in there and like do my shit.
Now, after we've had this conversation, now more than ever, I think it was a mistake to train Luke.
I think it was.
Leia.
Yeah.
But you
Hands
think too?
Or like you said, why not both?
I
said that,
never
right?
understood that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never understood that.
The Emperor's room, Luke doesn't want to fight Vader at all. He's just constantly saying, "Oh, I can sense the light in you still, or the good in you still." Like, would she be pushing that, or would, like you said, just go out and be a badass and attack Vader right out?
I think that's when she would have started saying things like, "Listen, I can still sense the light side in you. Don't push this. This is going to go bad for you."
She would have been Luke in the friggin' Jabba's palace.
Return,
Like, listen, I'm going to give you a chance before all this shit comes all that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's how it would have went down.
I mean, would she have taken the lightsaber next to Sidious when he's like, "Take it, I can feel you want it, strike me down"?
Before he finished that, before he put the period on that sentence, he would have been fucking sandwich meat.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
But I'm just saying, would you have tried? Like, he's like, "No, I'm gonna turn and keep on watching the fight outside."
I don't think he would have had to provoke her. As soon as he was like, "Go ahead, take it," oh shit!
What happened?
I think the thought process would have been like, especially in that kind of scenario, I think what Luke was saying is, when is a good time to do this? Right? In his head. Where he's like, take it, I know you're fucking doing it. And I think Luke's gears are going like this, and he's like, I'm just going to wait till the right fucking moment. Where I think Leia would have been like, how much damage can I cause?
Well, if that's what he was thinking, he fucked up.
Yeah.
Because he definitely got provoked.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Right.
The Emperor kept on pushing him like, "Oh, well, this is all a trap. Your friends outside are gonna die. Your friends on Endor are gonna die, and now you're gonna die," or whatever the whole actual quote is. And that's when he finally goes and attacks. Well, tries to hit the Emperor, and Vader blocks him.
Yeah.
In A New Hope, when they interrogated her with that like syringe droid, they still didn't get anything out of her.
No. That just
she
proves
she's
tough.
Yeah, if she was standing there, she'd have been like, "Are you fucking done talking? Right. You talk a lot.
Yeah.
You shut the fuck up."
Yeah. Yep.
I think that's how that would have went.
Now I want to see a whole like fucking different universe movie. Because I want to watch Leia whip some ass through fucking 3 movies.
Yeah.
Well, there are some books and stuff that she becomes a Jedi, right?
Yeah.
There's some like what if comic. They call it Star Wars Visions or Visionaries or something.
Right. Yeah.
There's actually that whole scene in Rebels where Darth Maul comes back and Obi-Wan kills him one last time. That's from. I'll try to dig up the. Do you have the comic? I have the comic where that's from.
I have the Darth Maul comics. I'm not sure what's in there though.
No, I mean the Visions comic.
Oh,
where that story. So basically,
do
Darth Maul with the original chicken legs.
Yeah.
All right, and so that Darth Maul, actually the design for the comic book was badass because his horns were curly, the chicken legs were way cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his lightsaber had like a curve to it, almost like Asajj Ventress's. So he shows up on Tatooine. Well, before he shows up, Obi-Wan's sitting, got to like a little camp on the edge of the farm, Uncle Ben's farm, right? Uncle Owen's farm, excuse me. Owen goes out and he's like,
"You think about rice?
What are you fucking doing here? What?
You think about rice?
Rice? Am I thinking about
Uncle Ben's?"
So
I like how you just ninja that shit.
So Uncle Owen goes out and he says to Obi-Wan, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Something's coming down the pike. I need to be here. Something bad's about to happen." And Owen's like, "Dude, you need to get the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
Basically, Obi-Wan's like, "I'm not leaving until I figure out what's going on." So a couple of days go by or whatever, and Maul shows up, and he's like, "I've chased you in Geonosis and this place," and he basically goes through a bunch of a laundry list of shit that happens in the movies.
Right.
And they go at it, and they fight, and at that last moment, Obi-Wan's standing over Maul, and he's trying to decide whether he's gonna, give that killing blow. And they have a conversation not unlike the ones they have in Rebels, and Obi-Wan's like he's just can't decide. Then all of a sudden, the next panel of the comic book is a gun blast going off, and it's Uncle Owen shooting fucking Darth Maul in the head. And then after he shoots him in the head, he looks at Obi-Wan and goes, "Now get off my fucking property."
That's great. That's great.
It was awesome.
So yeah, I like his uncle because you could even see it just in A New Hope, where it's like Obi-Wan was a pain in the fucking ass to him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, probably.
So it's like
yeah.
like in this hopeful fucking Kenobi movie they're gonna do, I'd like to see more of that dynamic.
Sure.
Where it's like Obi-Wan's trying to be the good guy, and Ben's like, "Fuck off! Like, get the fuck out of here."
Constantly checking in, like, "Oh, how's he doing today?
Yeah.
Oh, he's doing good. He's getting enough food, and enough water."
Right.
There's some stuff in the new books where Obi-Wan actually goes and drops stuff off to Beru. So apparently they had a kind of a friendship.
Right.
But yeah, it definitely did not carry over to the uncle.
No.
He's a
He's
crazy
like,
old man.
A, you're a pain in the ass, and B, you're trying to fuck my wife. So get the fuck out of here.
I know you fucked my brother's wife.
Look how that fucking played out.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if our tens of fans get that last joke.
Yes.
Did you get it, guys?
Check the other episodes.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's pretty much all I have. I don't know if you guys want to bring up anything else.
No, that was...
One thing I just thought of, though, when you were talking about Darth Maul and all that stuff, again, Maul, one of my favorites. Like, I'm wondering if, on the basic relationship of getting revenge on the Emperor, if he would have joined forces with Obi-Wan, like if that went a little bit different. Like if he didn't kill him.
That's a nice one.
And like they sat down and talked. Like he wanted revenge on Obi-Wan. I don't think he would have, but just for the sake of the Emperor really fucked him. Yes, Obi-Wan cut him in half, but I don't know, just a thought process. Like that would have been interesting to see if it went anywhere.
I think
that conversation happened.
I think death by Obi-Wan was a release for Maul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm finally don't have to be this person anymore. This half of a fucking person.
Right.
This tortured being.
Well, you see him on Clone Wars going essentially crazy.
Yeah, he just went
essentially
insane.
again.
Yeah.
And Press gets him out of that and gets him back to reality, so to speak.
So yeah, I guess he used the Force to keep himself alive, and he
just like his anger, the dark side kept him alive. It seemed like they were trying to push.
Basically, when he fell down that tube, eventually he ended up in some kind of trash chute, which eventually took him to that junkyard world where he found the parts to put himself back together somehow. I don't remember all the details, but I think that was it in the gist of the story.
I think that's what it was.
Well, he's a very interesting character in the EU and all that, because he goes from basically being an apprentice to a guy that's saying, listen, we're going to take over the fucking galaxy. You know what I mean? So you're going to be second in command, and he was raised to do that. And then when he supposedly died or whatever, like just knowing the feeling of his father figure, just basically saying, fuck you now. Like, I'm done. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, that's
totally.
going to fuck you right up.
I mean,
in a personal sense.
It was an afterthought, making the Clone Wars animated series.
Right.
But I'm guessing Sidious felt that he was still alive.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he give the same, I want to say love because it's Sith Lord, but the same love to him that he gave to Vader?
Because I just think he was one of those. He did it with Dooku. I think when you served your purpose,
he was an instrument.
That was it. You know, you were just a chess piece. It wasn't. I don't think he had any emotional attachment to Maul.
Maul believed that he was the chosen.
Right.
But if he thought he was so like ready for the fight and all that stuff, and that's why I'd like to see more on the whole Dooku Emperor Sidious relationship when that happened exactly.
So Sidious thought of him more as like a tool to, you know,
just a
carry
weapon.
out his bidding.
Right.
But I think Sidious was wrong, obviously, because look what he accomplished. I mean, he took over the fucking Mandalorians, all those, like, criminal laws. He just walked in and was like, I'm in charge now. No, you're not. No, you're dead.
Yeah.
No, I told you I was in charge.
Yeah.
But did you know he was actually Mother Townsend's son?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, because the Emperor, I believe, actually like stole him, or talked to her like they did with the Savage Opress to find another person, like Dooku did, and chose him because he was strong in the Force and all that, and trained him. And
Here's a fun fact. So Benicio del Toro, who's in The Last Jedi, actually was going to play Darth Maul.
Really?
They wanted him to play Darth Maul, and he had to back out for some, I don't know, whatever project or whatever. So initially he was going to be Darth Maul, which is entertaining because that brings a whole different dynamic. I'm 100% glad with who they went with. I always forget his name. But it's funny that he actually came back.
yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, couldn't have been a better Maul.
The thing I hate about that, it's sort of like the Captain Phasma with Force Awakens. They built up Maul so much.
Oh yeah.
And I loved him from the first time I saw him. And
like
episode,
in the trailer.
Yeah.
Like in that trailer, I was like, holy shit!
I was like, this guy's
we were
fucking
fuck
awesome.
This guy.
lightsabers on.
Because he's the first, he's the first like alien you see that's a fucking badass, really.
Yeah. He had fucking tattoos on his face.
Yeah, and horns
Everything
and all
was
this other stuff.
perfect.
Like, this is a Sith Lord. Like, if you were going to draw a Sith Lord, this would be it.
Yeah.
And then he was a badass in the movie. Don't get me wrong, but they ended him pretty damn quickly at the end.
Yeah.
I always remember when I was in the theater with my buddy seeing Phantom Menace, when that happened, right? When he, Obi-Wan flips over and cuts him and shit. There was a kid next to me, probably about 12 years old, right? And he's with his parents, and he goes, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Just like that. And I was like, "Watch your mouth!" And the whole place just fucking laughed. But then we were all like, "Shit! Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, did he just die?
Yeah.
That's shit."
Well,
no, he didn't just die.
Well, no.
yeah, well, by the time you thought that.
Yeah.
That fight scene between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul was one of the best, I think, in all the movies.
Yeah.
Like
music-wise, choreography, all of it.
Yeah, I love the part when like he still has a double lightsaber and he hits, he attacks Obi-Wan in the front. He blocks it, and then Obi-Wan like instantly goes like this and blocks the other blade. And just so quick, it's like, oh my god, it's so awesome.
Unbelievable.
And you see, that's the first. You see Qui-Gon and him, but that was just, it was decent, but it wasn't like great. But you see that compared to Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. It's just like, holy shit, this is what a lightsaber fight should look like.
Yeah. And it blew your fucking mind. And like one of the best parts of that scene to me was when they're going through those, the fucking barricades there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And at one point, like, and it brought fucking chills up my back when I first saw it. At one point, they're blocked off, and Qui-Gon, he gets on his knees and he's doing this, and Maul is just pacing like a fucking animal.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit! I can't wait until this fucking thing opens up.
Yeah, it was so much like.
Yeah,
drama
he's hitting the fucking thing, like taunting him and shit.
See if he can go through it.
Yeah.
I think at that point, not to cut you off, that point Qui-Gon felt himself
losing it.
Like, not going to the dark side, but I think he was going where he didn't want to be.
Yeah.
So he wanted to take a second to center himself.
Yeah.
And obviously it didn't work out for him, but I think that's what I think his goal was.
But yeah, that whole and this could be a what if. What if the battle between, we don't have to do this now, we can do it another time, but just think about it. What if Obi-Wan didn't kill Maul? Well, essentially cut him in half.
Yeah.
Like, how much different?
What if Maul won?
Just maybe they both survived. Let's just put it that way. What if the whole? Because I mean, him getting cut in half took him down a whole different thing. Maybe it's just like a matter of, like the first fight that Vader and Luke had. It's no one died, but they both went their own separate ways.
That would have been an issue of contention with Palpatine because he needed. If he's out in the Maul has two options as far as Palpatine's concerned, is either be secret or be dead.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
So
I don't know if
That
at
would
that
break
time
different.
though, if he would have like went to those measures to take him out though,
Yeah.
because he wanted
No.
to. This was the time when he wanted to show that the Sith are back. We're ready to fucking go.
Yeah.
And
he
at the
sends this
time-
fucking animal out there. You know?
Yeah, he didn't know about Anakin. You know what I mean, about training Anakin. Yes, we're gonna look at your career, great interest or whatever, but he didn't know he really existed at the time. So his best course of action was get Maul to go in, start taking out the Jedi, which he did take out one, and if he killed Obi-Wan, Anakin might not have even got trained.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't think. At least it seemed like it. He seemed like he had great faith in Darth Maul, and he was a Darth, so it's like he's not like some fucking schmuck.
Yeah, he wasn't like an associated, dark side user. He was. a
He
Sith.
was.
yeah, he was an official Sith apprentice, whatever.
Right.
And you see him on Coruscant having a discussion like, "Oh, they're not ready for us. We can finally reveal ourselves. We've been planning this shit for X amount of years.
Really.
Finally, we can do this." And it seemed like they were a team. Obviously, Sidious was the head fucking guy. He was the master. But I don't think he was ready to get rid of him so quickly.
But you have to think of it too. I think he knew it was going to happen. Just like I said.
I mean, if he knew everything else, then I don't see why he wouldn't see it. But
Yeah. I mean, I think he knew that was going to happen with that. I always think of it as the Jedi fights in A Phantom Menace weren't a focal point to Sidious. He was still trying to put his shit into place, with this, that, and the other thing. Like, yeah, he probably found out about the Chosen One and shit like that, sent Maul. But I think, like, he just said, you go fucking handle that. I get all this other shit. So I don't even think that was a focal point. Like, it wasn't a big deal that, he fought the two Jedi or anything. And they were just fucking there. It was like a backdrop, almost.
I mean, it could have been a whole thing like essentially what the Clone Wars was, just a way to hide what he's trying to do.
Right.
They're looking over here, they're looking for Sith Lords, they're going to think the Chancellor is a Sith Lord or the Sith Master or whatever, and doing everything under our noses.
Well, there's another thing too. I mean, and it's the whole, look over here shit. When they're at the funeral for Qui-Gon, I think it's Yoda that says, like, basically, is this the Master or the fucking apprentice?
It is, yeah.
So that throws him off even more. And maybe Sidious knew that. Like, I'll send this guy out here, cause a bunch of ruckus, and they go, oh shit, the Sith are back. Maybe this is the Master, maybe this is the apprentice. Like, maybe there was more.
There's always two, like you said.
Palpatine was on the other side
Standing
of
in front
the
of you
room.
right there.
Yeah.
So this could have been, like, the whole thing where I was saying about, him pulling up Vader's schematics when he was about to talk to fucking Anakin and freaking out.
I still haven't checked that out. I gotta check that out.
But I think he knew all this. I think he knew what his intentions were with Maul. It wasn't for him and Maul to take over the galaxy because he already knew about Tyrannus and he knew about Vader, and I think he was a tool for the switch and bait, like, you look over here and I'll be here type of shit. And maybe that Maul knew that after the fact. You find out more information, like, well, Sidious isn't fucking helping me get my legs back.
Right.
Or
Clone
anything,
Wars,
so.
they seem like that was the route they're going, at least with that storyline.
Right.
That Sidious used them and he felt that, and then
That pissed him off.
he hates Sidious just as much as he hates Obi-Wan.
Right.
And he just knows that he can't defeat Sidious or Darth Vader alone.
Right.
And that's why he tries to get Ezra. To be his... Well, he tried to do it originally Savage Opress in Clone Wars and Rebels. He tries to get Ezra because he feels that he's strong.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot to think about, guys.
Yeah.
So, what about that picture of Captain Rex?
Oh, yeah.
What picture of Captain Rex?
This
one.
picture.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Captain
what
Rex.
Captain Rex.
So, on the left is a picture from Rebels, Captain Rex, and on the right is a picture from Return of the Jedi. And this is the commando squad that went in with Han and Leia and Chewie on Endor. And, holy shit, they look a lot alike.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen them fucking side by side, and it's crazy.
It would not surprise me at all if Dave Filoni made Captain Rex look like this on purpose.
Yeah.
And
I've never noticed this guy in my life. You know what I mean? I watched Return of the Jedi who knows how many times. Like,
Well, you know what
you
the
would
funny
notice
thing
some
is?
shitty trooper
He's on
guy.
one of the cards for the action figures.
Yeah, you know what's the
I think they
funniest thing
actually
is
figured
he's the first guy I've always seen first when they fucking pull
Yeah,
out.
yeah, because he's right behind Han Solo.
Yeah, and like when they said that, I'm like, holy shit! It's the guy I always fucking focus when they fucking run around the corner there.
But you never really like think like, oh, this guy just
No.
a fucking douchebag.
Yeah, it's just
Like they're not gonna tie this guy in all the way back from Clone
no,
Wars.
no. I was always thinking like, why is there such an old fucking guy on the front lines?
So the reason why
You know?
the reason why I snatched this up is because we kind of talked about this
Right.
on episode
Yeah, you mentioned
2.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. So holy
that's
shit.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's something to think about, and it'd be cool if you actually find out that basically was him.
Yeah, it would not surprise me at all if Dave Filoni did that on purpose.
He is a sneaky bitch.
And I like that about him.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right, so this is the end of the episode. Yeah, he's happy. So check us out on all our social media down below. Which way am I gonna go?
This way.
Oh, this way. I just touched him inappropriately.
In his dickhead.
Again, if you guys have any suggestions for shows or a what if or anything, etc., etc.
Or where the prequels touched you inappropriately.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever.
Whether you like
That's my
staring
nickname,
around-
Prequels.
Prequels.
Email us or Twitter us. Tweet us, rather. Twitter us. I like Twitter us. That's
Twitter us. Be original.
Comment on YouTube.
Yes, Twitter us.
Again,
Sounds dirty.
Dr. Hudenstein, the wrestling podcast. Feel free to follow them if you're into wrestling.
Yeah.
The Sleaze is a co-host on there as well.
Yes.
Follow the Sleaze52 on Twitter. And this guy doesn't have a Twitter, so don't follow him unless you want to, blindly.
Yeah.
Although I have downloaded the app on my phone, but I'm just not really ready to make that commitment.
Yeah, baby
ready
steps.
to make that commitment.
Baby
Yeah.
steps.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
Yeah, there's
yeah.
a lot to fucking get into.
I'd rather they just filter their comments about me through you.
Yeah. Your name should be No Millennium Falcon in Portuguese. It wouldn't fit, but it would be awesome if it
No
did.
stops now. Yeah, no stops now. Jon Snow.
Alright, I guess we'll end there. You guys have a nice one.
Oh.